Good evening and welcome, folks. It is week 9, the last week of the regular season here in the WPIAL, and there are a lot of games with a lot of consequence across Western Pennsylvania. This isn't one of them, but it should still be a lot of fun tonight as we have a non-conference matchup between the visiting Central Catholic Vikings and your Gateway Gators here on GatewayGatorProductions.com. Vince Russo here leading the broadcast tonight in the stead of Adam Gusky. Spencer Witt is to my right, your left, and we are super excited to be here with you tonight in what should be an interesting matchup, a game last year in which the Vikings won 27-14, and a lot on the line tonight, at least in the sense of seeding, reputation, and a chance for the Gators, should they play a lot of their starters tonight, which is really the big question mark, but a chance to stake a claim and maybe get that 3 seed instead of a 4 seed when it comes to the postseason bracket.
And of course, both these teams won their respective section, but for Central Catholic, you have an idea as to the 2 teams you'll be playing. Gateway, you really don't have a great idea as to who you're going to be playing. And I think that this would be a real big tune-up game for Gateway. I think compared to, say, the last couple of weeks where you've taken on teams in your section that have struggled, you take on a Central Catholic team that's really good. You don't want to feel too comfortable going into playoffs. So a game like this really can help you.
And playing a tough opponent, as we saw early in the season, the Gators played a tough non-conference slate, and then when they got into that conference slate healthy, they were able to sort of cut like a hot knife through butter because they'd played tough teams earlier in the season. On the inverse of that, we saw a couple years ago the Gators had a bye. Penn Hills did not. Penn Hills advances, even though they were a lower seed in the first round, kind of caught a rusty Gators team off guard, went up 17-0, and eventually held on just enough to win that game here at Antimarino Stadium. So point made, well taken by you, Spencer. And so Brad Birch, the big story, as it seems to be most weeks with the Gators, he is putting up some incredible numbers and reaching some pretty heady milestones.
Yeah, 50 yards away from the all-time passing leader in the WPIALs in terms of passing yards. I mean, that's an incredible statistic, to say the least. Think about all the great quarterbacks that have gone through the Western Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic League. I mean, it's amazing to see for Bradley Birch. He's 3 touchdowns away from 100. 3 touchdowns from 100 touchdowns. So definitely something we'll be looking for in this game.
Yes, so Brad Birch on the doorstep of some pretty impressive milestones and knocking on the door of that Mount Rushmore in both passing yards and touchdowns, as we talked about. On the other side, the Gators defense, they're going to be challenged tonight. There's a lot of playmakers on that Central Catholic offense.
Yeah, this is a Central Catholic team that had put up a lot of offense recently. Their last game against Seneca Valley, they really put up 40-some points in that one. They put up 20-some against Gateway last year as well. So this is a very talented Central Catholic offense, one of the top offenses in 6A.
And certainly, Spencer, you talk about a lot left to be decided, a number of important games tonight that'll determine section titles. You know, Peters Township taking on Bethel Park. Bethel Park a chance to stake a claim and a first-place spot in the Allegheny 6. Peters Township trying to go undefeated in the regular season, lock in that number 1 seed. Penn Hills and Woodland Hills, one of those games where it looks like Penn Hills is favored, but you throw out the record book because those are 2 teams that just plain don't like each other, and 2 teams with playoff aspirations. If the Wolverines win, they are effectively in. If they lose, their playoff hopes are in jeopardy. On the other side, Penn Hills trying to go undefeated in section play as well. And finally, a big one here in the Big East. We'll try to keep scores updated throughout the evening between Spencer and I, but Franklin Regional and Penn Trafford in a game that'll decide who is winning and in the Big East. The Gators have already taken care of that. Central Catholic will be in the postseason too. The opening kickoff is out of bounds, and the Gators will start with the ball here at Antimarino Stadium here on GatewayGatorProductions.com.
I think one big thing to note here in this one, it was raining prior to this game. Pretty steady rain about a half an hour before game time is when it stopped. It was started about an hour before game time, so you have to wonder how the condition of this field will be, especially in a game that, with all due respect, isn't necessarily as meaningful as other games across 5A. So you have to wonder how aggressive both these teams will be on each side of the ball.
Both teams will have their starters in. It's Brad Birch behind center. Birch fakes the handoff to Kenny Lewis, and he'll knife up the middle. A nice lane there. He continues to move forward. That's going to be enough for a first down and a gain of about 12 yards on that quarterback keeper.
Yeah, great run here from Bradley Birch. Sees the option, takes himself, finds the hole, and just keeps pushing forward. Shedding a tackle and getting a handful of yards on that one.
Design quarterback runs have been a big wrinkle for this offense coming down the stretch for the Gators. They'll put Jaquan Reynolds in motion. They'll fake the screen to him, and then it is nearly intercepted as that one was read perfectly by number 3 for Central Catholic. That is Amari Shields, the junior.
His first look was Jaquan Reynolds on the right side. Didn't have it and just kind of turned and threw it without even thinking about it. There were a lot of players in the area. And unfortunately, I should say for Gateway, wasn't picked off there by Amari Shields.
So the Gators will live to fight here for 2nd and 10. The ball just past the 30-yard line on their own side of the field. Now they'll hand it to Reynolds, who's able to make that first wave of defenders miss, but gets his ankles grabbed and will fall forward over the 35 to about the 36, just shy. A gain of about 3 yards on first down.
I think the big thing in this game, especially, is the run game for Gateway. Their weakness for Central Catholic, their only loss of the year, they had a player from Pine Richland put up 300 yards of rushing in that game alone. So that's something that Gateway will look at as well.
The Gators go with the pass here on 3rd down, and that one, before it hits the turf, looks like, was it intercepted? It was not. That's going to be incomplete. Spencer, you had good eyes on it before I saw it there. That one was tipped, and it looked like the player on defense, the linebacker Colson Gatton, might have gotten underneath it, but he did not. 4th down.
Tried to sell it, Gatton did, but the referees had all the good angles on that one to let that one go.
So Birch in the shotgun, going to pooch punt it as we've seen so many times this year, and another beautiful one uncorked there. Central Catholic back and ready to receive it. Xavier Thomas on the return is up over the 30 and will step out as he approaches the 35-yard line. Jaquan Reynolds in pursuit there, forcing Thomas out of bounds.
Thomas tries to switch the fields, and good job by Gateway staying home, staying on their side of the field, and just sending him out of bounds. And Central Catholic will start their first offensive stretch here. Good defense from the Vikings on that one to hold Gateway to only 1 first down. And we'll see what the Vikings will do on offense here in their first drive.
So the Vikings been averaging 45 points a game in offense. It's been dynamic. Spencer, you talked about 42 points last week against Seneca Valley in a 42-7 win. They'll hand it off. It's Faulkner on the opening carry. Faulkner parts the seas. He's got one man to beat. He's inside the 20, 10, 5, and gone. Faulkner going to take it the distance on the first carry, 67 yards to pay dirt for a Central Catholic touchdown.
What a run by Faulkner, just finding the hole immediately and hitting it as soon as possible. Another look at this one for the Vikings, and it was just so incredible to see Faulkner just break through, and like you said, the sea parted. He had so much running room up the middle there. Central Catholic with an interesting play here.
A little trickeration to go for 2, and they're looking at the back of the end zone there for their top target, Peter Gonzalez, who has over 700 receiving yards on the season, averages 27 per catch as you take another look at that long touchdown run. But the 2-pointer no good, so it'll be 6-0 Central Catholic to start.
Just the speed from Faulkner there again. It seemed like everybody for Central Catholic was to the right. Gateway was shaded a little bit to their left as well, so Faulkner cut it back to his left, saw the running lane, the open room for him, and taking it to the house. And real quick, Vince, just an interesting extra point attempt. You always see that in football sometimes where teams will line up to the left and then they'll bring their guys back over. But this time they actually executed it there with only 2 guys, just the snapper and the man throwing it over there. But unsuccessful on that one, so still just a 6-0. And again, a non-conference game where you kind of have some ability to kind of work some different plays and see what sticks when you're going into the WPIAL playoffs coming up in the next couple weeks.
So the fireworks thus far have been on the ground. Most of the play call has been on the ground thus far. Even the Gators keeping it with Reynolds and a design run for Birch. These 2 quarterbacks, though, have combined between Peyton Werner and Brad Birch 4,100 yards, 4,100 yards on the season, just about, and 47 touchdown passes between the 2 talented upperclassmen. Just 6 interceptions between the 2 quarterbacks. They've both taken good care of the ball, and they're 2 of the top 6 quarterbacks in the whole region when it comes to passing yards and touchdowns.
Yeah, Birch second in 5A in passing yards with over 1,800 on the year for Bradley Birch. And he also had a couple games where he wasn't available. He wasn't playing. So the fact that he is able to be that high in statistics with not as many games as other players is an impressive feat nonetheless.
Now that matchup last week between the top two passers in 5A, Tristan Tavares for Norwin, Brad Birch for Gateway. The Gators got the better of the Knights in that one, 48-20 on the road over in Norwin. A game in which Brad Birch had 4 touchdown passes and ran for another. Just a dominant performance by the Gators in all 3 facets of the game. So another touchback, a long kick there by the place kicker Billy Lech, who has 3 field goals on the season, and clearly a strong boot as he puts both of those kickoffs well out of the end zone.
It's not too often in high school football you see a place kicker send the ball into the end zone and deep into the end zone to force touchback. So impressive from Lech, to say the least.
So Gators will go back to work offensively in their own right. They've, since starting 0-3, won 4 of 5 and averaged 43.8 points a game themselves in those contests. They'll stick with the ground game and Reynolds here on first down. That one's going to be good for a gain of a little over a yard, but not quite 2 on first down.
Reynolds just really nothing doing there. Tried to find something on first down, but Central Catholic players are right there, and then a pile of them just come on in the left side there. Nothing they could do, Gateway could.
So that'll bring up 2nd and long for the Gators. See if this is a passing situation for Birch and company. We're going right to left across your screen. Birch has a lot of room in front. He's going to pull it down and try to run it. Spins away from the first would-be tackler, but it's swallowed up by the second. That's going to be linebacker Anthony Specca.
Nice job by number 33, Ty Uhas, who stays with the play and is able to get to Birch as well. Birch spins away from it, but like you said, 16, Anthony Specca there for the takedown.
Not going to get away from Specca too often. A 4-star recruit who's committed to Penn State. He and Gonzalez on the offensive side at receiver both headed to Happy Valley. Talk about Ty Uhas, who Birch was able to get away from. He's committed to the Pitt Panthers, so there is no lack of talent or depth for Central Catholic on both sides of the ball. Birch going to drop back and pass on 3rd and long. Goes across the middle. Getting it a little early there is the defensive back for Central Catholic. No call as Amari Shields made the break on the ball. Lit up Stephen Jenkins before that ball really got in there. Spencer, what's your take, fair or foul?
It's a close one. It was a close one. I think number 3 for Central Catholic, Amari Shields, is going to make the argument that he got there just in time, and so did the referees, and I kind of agree with that call. I think it is a close one. It's another quick kick here for Gateway, and squibs all the way over to that 35-yard line.
Xavier Thomas now with some room up the sidelines after struggling to get a handle on that one at first. He takes that ball all the way inside the 35-yard line. And don't look now, but the Central Catholic Vikings are set up with great field position for their second drive.
Yeah, nice job from Xavier Thomas. He just picks this one up, takes him a second, but just immediately just goes forward. Doesn't stop, doesn't try and flip field, just sees the open space on the sidelines and gets as many yards as he can before going out of bounds.
So time to see what the Vikings cook up here. They're going to go with an empty backfield after Elijah Faulkner took the opening handoff offensively for Central Catholic, 67 yards for a score. Now they'll motion him back into the backfield, and they'll hand the ball off to him. And again, he's got a full head of steam and close to first down yardage as he knifes down inside the 25-yard line for what looks to be good enough for a Central Catholic first down, and it is.
Great blocking up front, by the way, as well for Central Catholic. I mean, they've got 3 linemen that are 10 yards down the field, pushing the Gateway defenders back.
Werner hands off to Faulkner again. Faulkner a little less space this time as he falls forward. Wrapped up by Mark Knight after a gain of about 3.
Good job from Gateway getting 2 guys on him as well. They're just kind of contain the running game from Central Catholic so far as they're moving down the field.
Jacob Santo also in on the tackle. Now some pressure. Werner rolls out of the pocket, has room down that left side of the field. He'll have a first down and more as he gains about 15 yards on 2nd and long.
we'll talk about Warner all night and the fact that he's considered undersized for a quarterback, but with that undersized ability is his agility to get out of the pocket and able to get around these defenders. He's got so much speed as a quarterback as well, and it shows right there.
Werner picked up his first and only offer at the FCS level to St. Francis, and he'll toss for a touchdown there. Hits Gonzalez across the middle of the field. A simple slant play. Gonzalez gets that inside step, and Spencer, that's 6 more on the board for the Vikings.
Good recognition here from Central Catholic. One-on-one coverage and immediately just going for the slant. And it was number 7, Peter Gonzalez, who beat his defender, Kenny Lewis, for the touchdown. There's nothing else really to say about that other than a really well-designed and well-executed play from the Vikings again.
On the extra point.
They'll go for the traditional PAT this time. That one is up and good from Billy Letch. And so you blink and it's 13-0. Vikings on top of the Gators offense already. Going to have their 3rd possession upcoming with not a whole lot to show for it thus far.
And Gateway just really hasn't been able to get anything going on offense. Credit to Central Catholic, though. They look really good defensively, especially the secondaries for the Vikings. I mean, this is a pass-heavy Gateway team. You definitely know that as well, and those DBs are staying home and staying on those receivers, not giving Bradley Birch anything good deep down the field or over the middle especially.
So that is touchdown pass number 30 on the year for Peyton Wayner as you take another look at that 10-yard touchdown toss on the other side. That is touchdown number 12 for Peter Gonzalez on the year. So you talk about Gonzalez being the top target, but out of those 30 touchdowns, there's been a real spreading of the wealth, so to speak, across the field for the Vikings. But that time goes to the most reliable target in Gonzalez for 6.
Just such good awareness there, recognizing it's 2 slants right there. So you got the slot man going on the slant as well. The free safety is going to come up and contain him, expecting that ball over the middle. And because of that, it's still one-on-one coverage on the far right side. So an easy slant as well for Central Catholic and an easy touchdown for Peter Gonzalez for the Vikings, who will come out here for the kickoff.
So a couple scores from round 5A in which we talked about will influence the bracket, and the Gators will play here next week as a undefeated conference champ. The consensus is that they will host a contest here at Antamarino Stadium, which is for the most part a rite of passage this time of year. The Gators will be the 4th straight year we'll see them here at Antamarino Stadium opening the playoffs. Bethel Park hanging in against Peters Township, at least in the early going. That one was some fireworks early. Indians up 14-7 on the Blackhawks, and then no score in a big Northeast Conference game. Woodland Hills, Penn Hills, no points just yet. Keep you updated on that and others. Upper St. Clair leads South Fayette 7-0 in a game that they desperately need to win. As this kick by Letch sails out of bounds, that will set Gateway up with pretty good field position here to start this drive.
Of course, one game to note as well for Central Catholic. Mount Lebanon and Cannon Mac squaring off. Mount Lebanon 7-0 up on the Big Macs of Cannon McMillan. That's a big game for Central Catholic. Of course, the loser of that game is who the Vikings will be taking on in the first round. You take a look at that Tri-County 5 conference standing. Central Catholic, North Allegheny, Cannon Mac, and Mount Lebanon, and then Seneca Valley at the bottom.
So the picture a little clearer, a little more simple for the Vikings. This is going to be an encroachment penalty on Central Catholic. They will enter the neutral zone, and so that'll gift wrap 5 yards for a Gateway offense that has struggled a little bit here in the early going, as Tanner Fuchs is the guilty culprit on that one. So 1st and 5 for the Gators, who will go to pass again. Birch with plenty of time. He's going to give this one a good heave-ho. Lewis coming back to it, just can't get back enough to it. Kenny Lewis, the intended receiver, had 3 touchdowns last week, 2 on offense, 1 on special teams.
Well, great protection for Bradley Birch. Another look at this one. You'll see him roll out to his left. And then watch right at the end of this, right when he's about to throw it, he kind of slips just a little bit in that throw as well, rolling out to his left, not his dominant side as well. So definitely not as easy to get that ball down the field, and Kenny Lewis had to come back and get to it, but just underthrown.
So 2nd and 5. The read option here, Birch keeps, and he is walloped after a very short gain. He'll get about a yard, maybe 2. Bring up 3rd and short upcoming for the Gators. Specca in on the tackle once again.
Watch his big hit here is that guy comes flying in helmet first. Didn't hit him helmet to helmet, but was coming in with the crown first there. A little dangerous play there for the Vikings.
Kenny Lewis in motion for the Gators here on 3rd down. They'll run the option. Birch going to keep it himself, and again you hear the crowd reaction. He gets hit and hit hard after no gain. That'll bring up 4th and short. Now decision time for Don Hall and company with the Gators around midfield and down a couple scores early in this one.
And they go with the option, and he doesn't pitch it himself, Birch, so he just has to cut in, take the hit, and see how many yards he can get with it. And unfortunately for them, they didn't get enough. Will we see another pooch punt again from Birch?
Gators go with the hard count to try and lure Central Catholic offsides again. They don't bite. Now they'll send a return man deep. That's Thomas again. Thomas able to get this one off the first bounce. Had a nice return on the last one. He's able to get outside. Kenny Lewis gets blocked out of the picture, and now Thomas on his high horse past midfield, down inside the 40, and again, right around that same spot will send Central Catholic up at the 35-yard line. The Vikings, for the 2nd time in 3 drives, will have great offensive field position for an offense that has been unstoppable early in this one.
This is the danger of pooch punting, is the fact that you've got 4 or 5 guys on the front line that aren't used to playing special teams. They're not used to chasing after a return man. So once you get by the initial couple of guys, it's just big linemen who have to get to the outside and have to get that speed to get out there. And recognizing that one is Xavier Thomas. They keep going to the outsides because they're making the linemen for Gateway go out and get out there, and they're just not able to get there in time.
Quick pass, going to lead to a big gain on 1st down. Just pitching that out into the flats and making the nice reception and getting good yards after the catch is Vernon Settles.
Another screen play, another good block. Just being in the way, Peter Gonzalez, just enough time to let number 0, Vernon Settles, get out there and get a good chunk of yards.
So 1st down, they'll go back to Faulkner, and Faulkner stopped with a minimal gain, 2-3 yards, if that. Craig Schultz able to knife in, the sophomore sustained an injury a few weeks ago and then had a monster game with a couple sacks last week against Norwood. So 2nd and 8 after the 2-yard gain. Wayner going to go to the end zone, had a man open there, but overthrew the intended receiver, and that time that was number 18, Cole Sullivan.
Yeah, Sullivan, this is a nice route for Sullivan as he kicks it right about at the 3-yard line, cuts to the left, and if that ball is in front of him and not over him, that's an easy touchdown for Sullivan, but just a misfire there from the quarterback for Central Catholic.
Sullivan, another talented 2-way player for Central Catholic. He'll be headed to Ann Arbor next year. Michigan recruit. As a holding call there will bring back the result of this play. That's going to be caught in the end zone. That touchdown will come back as even the Central Catholic faithful didn't really get too up for that play because they knew that one was coming back.
Yeah, edge rusher there for Gateway, and Grayson Nugent is going to be the one who's called for the holding. A pretty obvious holding call there as well. And Gateway was also arguing for pass interference, but nonetheless, doesn't really matter in the sense that it's still a call against Central Catholic.
And it'll make it 3rd and very long as that backs the ball up all the way to the 26-yard line, which will, with the line to gain being the 8-yard line, you do that quick math. 26 minus 8, that'll be 3rd and 18 upcoming.
I'm glad you did the math because it's Friday. I'm not doing math.
They'll pitch it out quick, trying to make a man miss there as a receiver on the outside. A nice tackle by Carlos Diggs, able to wrap up the receiver, Bradley Gompers, on the outside.
Good defense from Gateway. They stayed back right near the first down marker and just not letting these guys get behind them, taking them down, and a fourth down opportunity here. Field goal unit looks like they'll be on for the Vikings.
Fourth down.
So Billy Letch out to attempt the field goal. He made 2 field goals in that loss to Pine Richland. This one a high snap, but that one's down, and from about 32 yards out, that one is up and good for Letch, and that'll extend the lead to 16 for Central Catholic.
Letch could have hit that from 42. It was a pretty good kick from him as well, and a good job from the holder. Of course, the quarterback, Peyton Wayner, able to pull that one down and hold that one so Letch could send it through the uprights. And Central Catholic right now, I mean, they just look really, really good on offense. Defensively, I think they're doing a good job too. You could make the argument Gateway just isn't able to open up their offense yet because of this tight defense from the Vikings, but their offense looks like a well-oiled machine right now for the Vikings.
So the Gators still down 2 scores in this one. Talking about 2 scores, Central Catholic has only played 2 games in which were decided by 2 scores or less. 16 points is the metric we'll use for that one. So that's about as far and broad of a definition of 2 scores as you can get. And so there was the 26-19 loss, their only blemish on the season, to Pine Richland, as we've talked about, and then there was a 62-46 decision against Bethel Park with a bit of an asterisk because there were some garbage time points scored by the Blackhawks in that one. That game not nearly as close as it might indicate, as Letch going to give this boot to ball once again and kicks that one out of the back of the end zone for a 3rd straight time.
Again, some other scores in the area. Well, we've got some time, of course. Thomas Jefferson, McKeesport. That one is a battle for the section between the Jaguars and the Tigers in 4A. Thomas Jefferson up 7-0 on McKeesport on that one. And just so much. You love seeing it, though, I think, Vincent. Just the terms of there's chaos in the WPIAL. How many teams they get in, how many conference games you play where really the last week of the year can be so impactful for both of these teams.
Pass across the middle. Agreed, Spencer. That one just a little behind the receiver. A wide open target there. A little bit of a miscommunication as Derek Selby, who dropped a couple passes last week, unable to corral this one.
Yeah, good. Again, really good protection for Birch, who's able to look this one over. And a tough play. You know, he tries to lead him maybe a yard or 2 over to the right again. Gets behind that linebacker. To the left of the linebacker, I should say, but just couldn't get that one to Selby.
So Birch had about 200 yards in this game last year against Central Catholic. He has been held in check heavily early in this one. Has time. He's going to pull this one down. He'll get some yardage rolling forward, but not a whole lot. It's going to be 3rd and 9, maybe a long 8.
Stop by 3.
Yeah, Birch scanned his options there after that one and just knew that he didn't have anything open, felt the pressure to his left and tried to roll forward and was taken down. And again, another 3rd down here for Gateway and a decent amount of yardage too.
3rd and 8, we'll call it. Birch looks to the sidelines to get the play, see if they can keep this drive going. Just their 2nd first down on the night. Birch going to go with the design quarterback run. He's able to scamper away from a few would-be tacklers, but the holes close up quickly. He'll get a handful. It's going to be 4th and medium with the Gators still having their ball inside their own 30-yard line. It looks like potentially another punt situation.
Trying to draw the Gators to the left, or excuse me, the Vikings to the left, and then Birch rolls out to the right, but Gateway was there for it and just nothing doing on that run play. And another 4th down here again for the Gators.
5 receivers set. Again, they'll go with the hard count to try and get the Vikings to jump. That would give them a first down if they were able to entice the Vikings to do so, but well coached. Vikings stay at home under the direction of Ryan Lemire, who is in his first season at the helm. It's been a Central Catholic program that's had a storied history. As we talked earlier, both the Gators and Central Catholic, two of the top 10 teams in WPIAL history in terms of conference championships. It's that time of year you start thinking about those things. So the Gators with 24 find themselves 7th all time. Just a little bit further down the line is Central Catholic. Take a look here at the 5A rankings going into tonight. Certainly there could be a lot of upheaval in these numbers. The Gators clinging on to number 5 in the Post-Gazette there. Big matchup tonight is number 2 versus number 4, Penn Hills and Woodland Hills. On the other side, the Trib Live rankings. Gators once again at number 5. Not a whole lot changing between the two this week. No score in that game as we talked about. Woodland Hills having to go with the Wildcat formation for much of tonight. Stud sophomore quarterback Cam Walter going down with what folks believe is an ACL injury. A couple other 5A scores. Franklin Regional up 7-0. And a win and you're in kind of game over Penn Trafford right now. And then Moon up on the Fighting Spencer Wits. 14-0, the Baldwin Highlanders. Another pooch punt by Brad Birch. No one home to receive this one. Central Catholic sold out to make sure there was no 4th down conversion attempt. So this one will carry. This will be the worst field position that Central Catholic has had thus far after 2 punt returns by Xavier Thomas, setting them up at the 35-yard line, preceded by that 67-yard Elijah Faulkner touchdown run. It'll be a bit longer to pay dirt for Central Catholic as they set up at the 25-yard line.
Yeah, really for Gateway, that's the only positive right now is that you did flip the field, and you've got to force the Vikings with 3 minutes here in the first quarter to move down the field, but they have looked so good on offense so far for Central Catholic, and it just seems pass, run, pass, run. They're doing both of them so well. When the running isn't working, they find the receivers. And that really opens it up, too, especially. Look how many guys are stacked in the box right now for Gateway, and they open up Central Catholic.
Going to send 5 receivers out. They'll empty the set and have sort of a diamond. They'll set up the screen. That's going to be to Faulkner, and Faulkner able to cut past a few defenders and will get rode out of bounds after a gain of about 8 yards.
I love the design of this play because you bring out the man to have man-on-man coverage there, and once you get good blocking, which Central Catholic has shown so far throughout this game, phenomenal blocking with their wide receivers, it gets you 8 yards every single time.
Ahmad Harris with the stop there. They'll go back to Faulkner on this one. He's got a big hole, but this one's going to be coming back because that's going to be another holding call. There's a big hit on Faulkner there from both S.J. Moorfield and Stephen Jenkins.
Yeah, you see the hold there on the right side of your screen. 74 was held. Jacob Santo for Gateway, and just holding on a little too long. It wasn't a bad hold per se. Obviously, every hold's a bad hold if it's called for you, but it was just a little bit too long, and running back was able to bounce out there for that reason exactly, so they're going to call that one every time.
It was a holding call that stymied the last drive for Central Catholic and forced them to settle for the 32-yard Billy Letch field goal. That takes 2nd and 2 and turns that into 2nd and about 8, as that was a spot of the foul, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Quick pass here, and in traffic, dragging the defender is Gonzalez once again over Kenny Lewis, who was draped on him. Great coverage, but an even better pass and catch.
Yeah, just as you said, Vince, I mean, this is very good coverage from number 4 for Gateway, Kenny Lewis, and you got to put that one place, and that was the exact place that Wayner put it to not let him catch, or to not let Kenny Lewis get to that ball.
Pass again. Wayner, all kinds of time. Mark Knight almost comes up with a sack, and then it's Jacob Santo who's able to bring down Wayner, who just fell forward back toward that original line of scrimmage.
Good job from Gateway there on defense, and Wayner looks to his left, sees his first man, sees his second man, looks to his middle, doesn't have anything there, and the pressure from number 11, Mark Knight. Wayner has to move forward and get taken down.
Big time drop there as there was a wide open receiver across the middle of the field. Vernon Settles. What a big reception on the last drive unable to come up with that one, and that's a big break for the Gators that'll bring up 3rd and 10.
Gateway playing zone there, and they had the one defensive back cutting over to the sideline, so that slot receiver has wide open in the middle, but just couldn't haul that one in. Another 3rd down here. Big 3rd down for Central Catholic.
See if the Gators can get off the field. Lots of time again for Wayner, who has room. He's going to take off and run. Can they bring him down ahead of the sticks? No. A missed tackle there by Donovan Biggs. If Biggs is able to make that tackle in open space, that likely brings on the punt team. But credit to Wayner, a great little hesitation move there to force the missed tackle.
And Biggs plays this exactly how you want to. You recognize that there's a receiver, and once you see Wayner tuck, then you go for him. But Wayner just gets out to the outside.
And now a big run on 1st down is Faulkner. Good job reading and following blockers for a gain of a dozen to move the chains.
Again, Central Catholic, they're starting to pick up their tempo a little bit here, quicker than the last couple drives we've seen for the Vikings.
They'll get right back to work with a 4-receiver set, trips to the left. And again, they'll set up the screen. It settles. Vernon Settles able to make a move inside, and he is collided with by 3 different Gators on that one, and a flag comes in late. We'll see what the call is on this one.
Got a player for Central Catholic with his helmet off, Anthony Shovlin, so we'll see what exactly the call is. Looked like it was away from the play there. But these Vikings, they love their wide receiver screens. This is the 4th time I think we've seen a wide receiver screen out there, and they're running, or their wide receivers is, I might have jinxed it here. I believe there might have been a holding on one of the wide receivers out there, but they've done so well at blocking in front for the Vikings and able to get those extra yards.
That flag came in from the back of the play in the vicinity of where Cole Sullivan was administering a block, and so safe to presume that he's the guilty culprit on the holding call, which will make this 1st and about 15 with the ball squarely on the left hash of the 40-yard line. They'll fake the handoff to Faulkner again. All kinds of time. Wayner going to roll out on the run, trying to put this one on a rope to Gonzalez, and he does. And Gonzalez steps out of bounds at the 4-yard line.
A dime there from Wayner on this one. Just, again,
on the run too.
Yeah, credit to the offensive line, giving him the ability and getting these receivers the ability to get out there. And you see Peter Gonzalez get behind that coverage a little bit, and he cuts over to the right side, finding open space. And just look at this pass, you know. Number 10 for Gateway, Sean Moorfield Jr. was there, but couldn't get to him.
Faulkner wrapped up and dropped in the backfield. A good job by Ahmad Harris getting in behind the play and bringing down the ball carrier on 1st and goal.
Harris, 2nd down.
Little update for folks. Penn Trafford has tied the game up against Franklin Regional. We were talking about before a series of plays. That's a win and in game for the 2nd spot in the Big East Conference. Gators took down both of those teams en route to their undefeated section or conference championship. So the winner of that one is in. The loser has to hope for a wild card, and we'll talk about some of those scenarios as the night goes on. So right now the Gators trying to get a stop as Faulkner miscommunication with Werner, who threw that one out wide. Faulkner sort of cut off the speed on his route. Spencer, if he keeps running at full speed, he probably gets to that one.
He probably does, yeah. Good point from that one. And you see the 2 wide receivers cross each other to try and give themselves a pick to open up that receiver to the outside. And, yeah, he kind of stopped expecting the ball to be underthrown a little bit. And Wayner, credit to him, he did put it right where he needs to put it. And the problem was the wide receiver just couldn't get out there. But I like that matchup up top real quick here. Those 3 wide receivers up there, you can see man-on-man coverage.
They're going to go that way. A quick throw to the back of the end zone, and rising up and coming down with it is Vernon Settles. He goes up over top of the defensive back, Jair Phillips, and Settles with the 5-yard touchdown as the Vikings are starting to pour it on.
And you can see here, even on this play, this is several seconds before it happens. You see the defensive backs get up there. They recognize it's man-on-man coverage. And then watch the crossing routes on the top of your screen there for Central Catholic. 2 guys cut in, which forces Jair Phillips to have to get out there, and he has to wait a little bit. And just not enough time to get out there, and it's caught by number 0, Vernon Settles.
So kick is up and good. Billy Lech, 3 of 3 on the evening, 2 PATs and a 32-yard field goal to boot for the junior place kicker for the Vikings, and it is 23-0 here in the first quarter. Hard to believe we still are within the first 12 minutes played here. A lot of game left, but it's been all Central Catholic in the early going of this one. The Gators will get another chance to get that offense back out on the field, start to figure things out.
If you're the Gators, you know, do you feel defeated already? Do you feel like, you know, you're in a situation where this isn't a game that matters per se, and you already feel like you're behind right now? What's the point of moving forward? What's the point of trying to give that extra effort against these Vikings and against a team that you'll never see throughout the remainder of this 2023 season, being in the different level in 6A? It's just got to feel demoralizing for Gateway right now. They can't get anything going on offense, especially with such a high-powered offense the last couple weeks. Credit to Central Catholic. I mean, the Vikings have shown up right now on both sides of the ball.
Certainly is an interesting story for both of these teams. What does that get-up sort of look like, as this will be the first kick able to be returned. Kenny Lewis will take it from inside the 5-yard line. He has a nice hole up over that left side. Gets away from a few and is still on his feet. Now he has some blocking. Can he get loose? He gets up over the 50-yard line, and Kenny Lewis dragging folks along with him. It looked like Xavier Thomas was going to bring him down, but as this season has gone on, we talked about it last week with the punt return touchdown, Kenny Lewis has started to become arguably the hardest Gator to bring down.
Look at him. He cuts to the left side. He breaks one tackle there, and I thought right here, I thought he was going to go to the sidelines. He cuts it back in and just bouncing off of players. My goodness, there's 6 guys over there, 7 guys. Cuts it back for the 8th, and then the 9th guy can't wrap him up either. Amazing effort there from Kenny Lewis for Gateway, and good starting position for the Gators.
Roman Thompson finally brings Lewis down, but not before he gets past midfield. A shovel pass here. That one to the tight end, Stephen Jenkins. His first touch offensively tonight, and that goes for just a few, as that will be the final play of the first quarter here from Antamarino Stadium. The Gators find themselves in a hole, but have their best field position of the evening. They'll start with the ball at the 46-yard line, 2nd and 8 when we return to action. Spencer, your thoughts through 12 minutes of play?
I mean, it's just been all Central Catholic. Obviously, the scoreline shows that, but this Vikings team looks so good. I mean, they look like, I'd make the argument they're the team to beat in 6A in the state. I mean, not even in just the WPIAL. I mean, it's amazing how these Vikings are able to play, and you have to wonder, I didn't watch the Pine Richland game where they fell to the Vikings. You have to wonder how they let 300 yards rush from one player alone. I mean, they're making good tackles too here as well. Brad Birch is struggling to get upfield. You see the running backs for Gateway struggling to get up the field as well. This is a very good Central Catholic team, and for Gateway, you just need a little bit of a spark. You don't need 14 points right off the get-go. You saw how long this quarter was here. I mean, you've got plenty of time to keep yourself in this game.
Well, you talk about how could they have lost that game, and certainly Central Catholic through much of this season have looked like world beaters and taken it to just about every team. Talk about comparable opponents. One of their 5A matchups, Central Catholic defeated Penn Hills 45-12, and that's a really talented Penn Hills team this year. The Pine Richland, far be it from that Pine Richland team who played a tough early non-conference schedule. They start out the season with 3 losses again. You sort of see them slip out of the top 5 and they become an afterthought. Did the same thing last year, just got better and better and better. Utilized that wildcat formation, which they seem to do quite often. And they ran the table to a state title last year, and many folks think they'll have a chance to do that again this year. We were talking off the air, you know, what the bracket might look like, and if, you know, for Peters Township, which has had such a great season, is currently up 21-7 on Bethel Park, if they go undefeated and then have to look at a potential semifinal with Pine Richland, that sort of feels a little unfair for a team that's gone undefeated, but you gotta beat the best to be the best, so to speak, and whoever ends up drawing the Pine Richland Rams is going to have a real tough challenge behind that rushing attack.
Vince, you and I have grown up here in the Western Pennsylvania area. You know never to count out the Pine Richland Rams, especially on the gridiron. Those Peters Township, don't discredit Peters Township. Those Indians 9-0 record, but they have played very well themselves as well. But it'll definitely be fun to watch next couple weeks here in WPIAL football. Every year it seems like there's upsets. Every year it seems like it's just not the team you expect to be in a situation like that and put up a heck of a fight against the top teams. A ball goes one way, a slip, a missed tackle goes the other way. Next thing you know, we got a different champion.
Case in point, we saw last year North Hills, the 8 seed, which was 3-7 in the regular season, went 3-2 in their conference to sneak into a backdoor playoff spot. They gave the number 1 seed, an undefeated Allegheny 16 Bethel Park, everything they could handle, and eventually what was a come-from-behind victory for the Blackhawks, 19-17. So we'll see if that 8 seed has some magic again this year. As the ball is jarred loose, Birch held up, trying to get back to it. It's still loose. I think Birch did fall back on it. His ankles were held there at little gamesmanship by Central Catholic, trying to keep him from being able to get back to this one, as that one sort of hung out there in no man's land for quite a while. As you see a nice play there to poke that one loose by number 3 for Central Catholic, Amari Shields.
Amari Shields on the other side of the ball this time. I mean, he just bull rushed that blocker, pushed him back and got to Birch.
So the Gators avoid the costly turnover, but 2nd and 8 with good field position quickly turns into 3rd and 20. They're just going to shovel this one off again. This one's Reynolds. Reynolds dragging defenders back towards midfield. Looks like forward progress will get him just shy or to the 49-yard line of Central Catholic. And now, once again, decision-making time on 4th down, 4th and long for the Gators.
Yeah, design play there where you're just shoveling it over and just give it to him. Hopefully he gets some yards, and hopefully he gets more yards than they need. And 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work, but hey, maybe that one time it does. And here we go on 4th down again for Gateway.
Can the Gators get some points? They've got Xavier Thomas back once again, anticipating a potential pooch punt. Birch will not punt it. He's going to take a shot downfield, has a man, and that one just a little underthrown as they were looking for Kenny Lewis on the far side of the field. Good coverage, and that will be a turnover on downs, as shutting the door on that one was Gavin Stanek, the 6'1 senior DB.
Yeah, this ball just thrown a little bit too inward. Nice job.
Actually, it looked like Dylan Deasy?
I think I was
either him or Gompers out there on the other side. Good call. But
it was good coverage, too. He took the inside route as well, didn't let Birch drop that one in on the inside, and really good defense from the Vikings. But I did like that design play call. You're at midfield. Sure, Central Catholic has been moving, but you need some offense. And if it's that 4th down play that gets you offense, that's what you need, and you take what you can get right now.
instead, it's Central Catholic ball, and Elijah Faulkner falls down after the seas once again sort of parted for him. If he keeps his balance, he's off to the races once again. Look at all that greenery in front of him, but he tried to put the juke on. Before he could get past S.J. Moorfield, he falls down to bring up 2nd down. They go back to him, and now Mark Knight knifes into the backfield. A couple quick run plays, but the Gators hold pat. Little luck and then a little skill. Now it'll be 3rd and medium.
Great job from Knight there, just getting in immediately and taking him down. Another 3rd down here for Central Catholic, which you got to feel like this is 4-down territory for the Vikings. I mean, they have been running so well here and holding Gateway so well as well.
Wayner going to get swallowed up in the backfield, and it's Mark Knight once again in tow with him as Craig Schultz, and that blitz pays off for the Gators as they will bring up 4th and long, and a punt team comes out for Central Catholic.
Well, as I say that, I didn't think about the fact that a sack could have taken them 10 yards backwards. I was only, again, just how good this offense was thinking. I was thinking either it's going to be a run where you get stopped or a pass that gets stopped, and not the Gateway Gators getting into the backfield, which they've done the last couple plays. Credit to the Gators here. They've given Wayner a little bit more pressure, and they've given the running back, Faulkner, a little bit of pressure as well. So a job from Gateway here.
So Paul Kupiaris will come out, 6-foot senior. Good snap. This punt, a wobbler, will carry. Looks like it hit the heel of a Central Catholic gunner. That's going to be Cole Sullivan. Hits his heel at about the 24-yard line. So that's where the Gators will start with possession on that right hash. We have some more score updates in 5A as we start to figure out what this bracket might look like. A reminder to folks at home, the selection committee will meet tomorrow evening, Saturday evening, and the brackets will be announced Sunday morning to the public. But Penn Hill's trying to advance to 5-0 as well, but they are behind. Woodland Hills strikes first. They've got 7 points on the board. The Wolverines, let's not forget, they pulled the upset on Penn Hills last year 7-3 to keep the Indians out of the playoffs. The Indians, who had a stellar regular season last year, were the victim of the tiebreakers. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as the night goes on, what that tie-breaking system looks like. But left Penn Hills out. They were very, very frustrated and upset. And they'll be in this year. They've clinched, but certainly they would like to control their own destiny and to get a home playoff game with an undefeated section championship. They're going to call encroachment on Central Catholic there. A couple Vikings got close there, and they're going to say that they got too close. That's Anthony Specca and Cole Sullivan who encroached on the neutral zone there. So that'll be 5 free yards for the Gators for the second time tonight, and they'll take second long down to second 2.
It's been the only issue for Central Catholic in this one. They've had a couple penalties compared to the Gators here early on in this first half.
Birch back to pass on second and short. He'll connect with Lewis, and Lewis wrapped up and is able to fall forward. Good job grabbing the ankles there. Number 40, Colson Gatton. But that will move the chains for the Gators, who keep that offense out on the field and get the ball up to the 40-yard line.
And they needed that badly. I think Gateway really needed a first down here just to get a couple of first downs, move the ball a little bit, just to get your offense going here.
Look at some rhythm. They just haven't been on the field much tonight. So now they've got that first down. Heading toward midfield once again. They look to set up the screen, and Jaquan Reynolds is walloped. Amari Shields once again with a great play defensively. He read that perfectly.
Yeah, he read that like a book, like a Dr. Seuss book. It was just too easy for Amari Shields there, and what a hit from Shields.
Well, kind of the hits that make you wince for a number of reasons. Again, this is not a game you want to see any of your starters get hurt. Reynolds tied amongst some of the leaders in 5A, 14 touchdowns on the season, just one behind the league leaders in 5A, and he has been the workhorse back for the Gators. As again, an uncharacteristic drop. That would have been right toward the sticks. Kenny Lewis, he was falling forward. That might have not been enough, but he would have caught that right around the 50, but instead that one just right off of the chest of Lewis.
And I think that would have been a first down, Vince. It would have been close, like you said, but those are balls you got to catch. I mean, Birch puts that one there, and that's the right spot. It is a little low, but it's not super low that you can't get to it, and just frustrating for the Gators. Their offense, you talked about the rhythm and how they haven't had any rhythm, and drops like that really stall the rhythm.
So instead of either being a first down or very close to it on third down, it's 3rd and 10. Gators will go to the air again. A quick strike across the middle. And Jenkins, he gets hit right around that rib area, and he's a little slow to get up. Hopefully just had the air taken out of him, but he is shaken up a little bit after he took a really hard hit across the middle of the field there.
Trying to thread the needle here, and just really well read by 16, Anthony Specca, who sees or feels the wide receiver go by him and drops back a couple steps and gets right in front of that one, but could not be hauled in as Gateway is able to escape without throwing an interception, but unfortunately they're not going to escape this drive here. They're going to have to punt.
4th down.
Now the Gators had fumbleitis against McKeesport, turned the ball over that way a number of times, but give credit to Brad Birch and the Gators. Just 2 interceptions thrown all season. That was a real issue for the Gators last year. This year they've done a good job winning the turnover battle. It's been a reason why they've won 5 of 6 down the stretch. Brad Birch drops the ball, and he's going to get walloped. No chance to punt it here, as that one just goes right through the hands, and that'll give prime real estate for Central Catholic, who will have it inside the Gators' 30-yard line.
It's a nightmare right now for Brad Birch, and in theory, it's like you went for it on 4th down and got sacked. I mean, that's what you got to look at it right now if you're Gateway. The problem is it's very prime real estate for the Vikings. Just the offense is clicking right now for Central Catholic. And they'll continue to move here. Gateway needs to stop, though. They need to stop him here. I know I said that last drive, but it just seems like another drive again here. They need to stop him. This one aired out. One-on-one. Oh, my goodness, what a grab.
Going up for it. Gonzalez, the go-to target. Averaging 27 per, and you just see the big playability on the outside.
Just one-on-one coverage again, and he goes up there and gets it. I mean, it's amazing to see these Vikings and how well they can play. The DBs really can't do anything about this for Gateway.
So 1st and goal. Wayner will keep it himself, and he'll prance right into the end zone to blow this one wide open. Quick keeper there, design quarterback keeper, and a 3-yard scamper for 6.
And the Gators are just gasping for air right now as Central Catholic is getting into running clock territory right now. I mean, it's amazing to see how well these Vikings are playing as they're looking for their 30th point here on the extra point.
Fletcher's kick. Up and good. So it is a 30 spot on the board for Central Catholic after the 5th rushing touchdown of the season for Peyton Wayner. And as we head towards halftime, still 7.5 left here in half number 1. But it has been all Vikings. And let's be clear, Spencer, this is by far the best team the Gators have faced this season. They've played some tough teams. We talked about McKeesport a few weeks ago. Both Franklin Regional and Penn Trafford having solid regular seasons, at least in conference play. But you talk about a team that has been dynamic both in and out of conference. It's been Central Catholic.
No doubt. I mean, this is a Central Catholic team that looks so good year in and year out, and they just keep going. They never have to rebuild. They just reload. I mean, it's amazing to see how well these Vikings – the first-year head coach, you think maybe some things change a little bit, but they just right back where they were at.
Well, speaking of teams that have been solid in and out of conference, let's take a look at the Allegheny 6 Conference headed by the number 1 team, the unanimous number 1 team in both the Post-Gazette and Trib, Peters Township, and they are up by a couple scores on Bethel Park tonight. That will settle some things in that conference. Upper St. Clair could go 8-2 and still get left out of the postseason. Those 2 conference losses to Peters and Bethel Park really coming back to bite them. They had to win in double overtime last week against the Moon Tigers just to stay in position. And those Tigers, we talked about taking on Baldwin. They're 35-0. There's running clock territory for you right there as the Moon Tigers. That's a win and in game. So Moon very likely looking like they will be a participant in the postseason. And Upper St. Clair currently up 14-7 on South Fayette and driving. So they're trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. They're going to need a whole heck of a lot of help should they not come out on top. So 30-0 our score here with 7:32 left in half number 1. Gators, as we talked about, have clinched their postseason berth, and as this one goes on, we'll talk a little bit more about some of those situations as we venture forward in this one. This one going to be returnable once again, and it's Lewis once again who had the big return out toward midfield the last time he had it. He's able to stiff arm a few folks, but he will retreat out of bounds just past the 25-yard line.
Lewis for the Gators on the return. Man, the return specialist, really the only bright spot here, but it seems like it's one Christmas light and a strand of 100 that are all burnt out here for the Gators. I mean, just nothing is working, but credit to Lewis, though. He has provided some very good returns for the Gators.
Drinks and desserts. Thank you for supporting the Gateway football.
So the Gators go back to work on offense, 1st and 10. Quick screen, and they'll get a receiver open. A nice block on the outside by Derek Selby gets Kenny Lewis close to first down yardage as he's past the 35 to about the 37-yard line. Call it second and about 1.
And we saw Central Catholic do pretty much this exact same thing. You get a wide receiver blocking up front, you get the screen, you get yourself 8 yards. Now you have the option of just giving it for some extra yards here to get the first.
Jaquan Reynolds will take that handoff, and they needed 1. Looks like he got about 2. That will move it forward for the Gators, who on the second consecutive drive do get a first down. Now can they put together a few more and try and get themselves into scoring position?
That's all they needed, just going back and forth. Pass, run, pass, run. Seems like when you have a couple of passes, Central Catholic is all over. You have a couple runs, the Vikings are all over it too, so you got to keep going back and forth between the two different kinds of plays. We'll have a timeout here first, though, from the Gators.
That'll be their second timeout. They'll want to think things over here on this fresh set of downs at the 39-yard line. So as we have a second, we talked about wanting to break down some of these playoff conundrums and scenarios that we're seeing moving forward and some of the ways that things are decided. And so the tiebreaker system, only conference games count in breaking ties, and ties between two teams are broken by head-to-head. Simple enough. Gateway beat Franklin Regional earlier this year. If they both had ended 4-1, tiebreaker goes to the Gators. If there are a 3-way tie, that's also broken by head-to-head results. Maybe one of those teams is 4-1 and has a loss against a different team but beat the other two 4-1 teams, they get the tiebreaker, so on and so forth. If head-to-head can't break the 3-way tie, then Gardner points, which are controversial, they are used to break the deadlock. Under the Gardner point system, teams get 10 points for each win of a defeated conference opponent. So in other words, if Team A beats Team B and Team B has a 3-2 conference record, then Team A gets 30 points.
Who let Gardner pick that one? It's an interesting situation for playoffs, for tiebreakers.
Screen pass once again. This one's set up to Reynolds. Reynolds, nothing going there. Gets back to the line of scrimmage and nothing more.
It's crazy, even with the pressure. That's exactly how you want it on a screen pass, but the second guy step up and get to him. Really no blocking there because they couldn't block anyone. There were Central Catholic players all over him.
Quincy Dennis coming in from behind and cleaning up that play for no gain for the Gators. That'll bring up 2nd and 10. Birch out of the gun, play action, pass, has a receiver open, a couple actually, and Lewis with it now. Lewis able to step out of a would-be tackler and get some of those all-important yards after the catch. That gets the Gators inside the 35-yard line of the Central Catholic Vikings, and they are on the move.
A little softer zone coverage there and just getting in between the deep DBs and the linebackers in the middle of the coverage, and Birch finding not one but two guys, like you said there, had a couple of them open. Kenny Lewis, nice play right after feeling the pressure, was able to get away and move forward.
Nice run on first down inside the 30-yard line goes Jaquan Reynolds. That'll be a gain of close to 5 yards. I'll mark him down at the 30. So that'll be 2nd and 6 for the Gators upcoming.
I figure 5 minutes left here. Keep pushing the ball down the field if you're Gateway. Get yourself a, hopefully, potentially a score here to make this one a little more reasonable in halftime.
Quick out pass to Lewis. Lewis able to drag the defender past the sticks. A nice second effort there, as eventually he's brought down by Gavin Stanek, but not before getting to that first down marker.
Exactly what you need to do is Lewis there. You get to the sticks, then you stop, turn, and look, and the ball was right there for him. Again, a little softer coverage there from Central Catholic. They don't want to get burned deep. They don't want a quick touchdown, so they're letting the underneath go for the Vikings.
Quick one out to Jaquan Reynolds, who's able to skirt along the sidelines for a very short gain on first down. Take a look at that pitch on the option.
First time I think that Birch has finally pitched it over to Jaquan Reynolds there. He's had it a couple times where he's just cut back in and taken the hits and keeps that Reynolds open and keeps the defensive players honest.
Quarterback run on this one. Birch trying to get to the sidelines, and he's ridden out inside the 25. He might have gained a few there, but not much.
Yeah, you see Birch, it's a designed looking for the throw, knew it wasn't open, so he takes it himself, and he just keeps looking and looking and looking to try and cut up field, and there's nowhere to go, and just has to run over to the sideline. Good news, clock does stop, though, at 4:29.
It'll be 3rd and 9 at the 22-yard line for the Gators. They'll motion Stephen Jenkins out into the flat. Play action pass. They're going to take a shot back of the end zone. That one just a bit overthrown. Looking for Dyson Harper on the play.
All the space up top, and this one's going to hurt for Birch. As you see Jenkins up top, there's no one on him. Look how he turns at the 20-yard line, puts his hands up. There's no one on the left side, but they immediately are just looking into the end zone for that home run ball. And that's one that, you just kind of have to scan all of your options there if you're Brad Birch, because he's looking at the end zone. He wants that touchdown. You want that score to get yourself back into this, but you got to take what Central Catholic is giving you. You're not the one controlling this game right now. It's the Vikings, and you take what you can get, and then next thing you know, you're back near it, and now Central Catholic starts scrambling a little bit, and then you be a little more aggressive.
It did look like Harper had a step.
To be fair, he did.
But it was a tight window on that throw for sure, where there were a couple receivers in the flats, Jaquan Reynolds included, who would have had a little space to work with on that 3rd and long.
And again, that's the thing, though, is you need it's 3rd down. You need the yards more than anything. If you want to go into the end zone, you go there on 2nd down. You go for it maybe on 1st down there, but 3rd down here, sure, it is 4-down territory, it seems like right now, as their Gators might be talking this over if they want to go for it here at the 22-yard line. But
and again, you might as well. There's not much to worry about in a game where it has seeding implications, but not much more than that. And we talked about some of those. Want to finish that conversation talking about Gardner points and tiebreakers. If 3 teams are still tied after Gardner points, there's a WPIAL point differential system applied where teams get tiebreaker points based off of comparative scores in conference games. So you can earn a maximum of 10. So if you get a 7-0 win, you get 7 points. If you lose 28-14, you only get -10. You can't get more. They're going to fake the option here. It's a pass play, and that one, if it's passed a little bit better, is probably a touchdown. But Jenkins is able to come down with that one from Kenny Lewis. A little bit of a wobbler, but it gets there just in time. And, boy, Jenkins took quite the hit at the end of that one. But it's 1st and goal for the Gators.
A little bit of trickery here. I like this call from Don Knoll. And trying to throw it over the top. You saw the man down there taking a hit with Stephen Jenkins. And, yeah, better pass, sure. Gets a touchdown. But, hey, if you ask the guy who threw that one, Reynolds. That was Reynolds, correct? Who threw that one, or was it?
It was Lewis. Coming in from the outside.
You asked Lewis. He got the job done. He get the pass over to him.
They'll shovel it again, and Jenkins going to try and put his head down and get close to the end zone, but he is stood up in there making that play for Central Catholic. You see him there pumped up is Makeo King Watkins Jr. That is a 6'2 sophomore laying the lumber there.
2nd down goal.
No lack of size or depth for Central Catholic, but right now Gators have them on their heels. 2nd and goal at the 1. Traditionally, this is where they've gone to number 2. See if they'll get it to Reynolds. It's going to be a passing play. They're going to try to go across to Reynolds, and Birch sort of threw that one away, it felt like, because there was a lot of heat in that kitchen.
Yeah, that play just couldn't develop, and it was the right idea there. They had Reynolds to the outside, and you see it's man-to-man coverage. Good job there.
3rd down goal.
From number 16, Anthony Specca goes out with him, but the problem was Reynolds is supposed to have that extra step, and it's just supposed to be over the top and for the touchdown, but unfortunately not enough time for it. So Birch had to throw it away almost immediately.
So that'll bring up 3rd and goal. Again, Gators will go to the air toward the back of the end zone, and going up for that one is Kenny Lewis, bringing it down for the 1-yard touchdown, number 98 on Brad Birch's career.
Vernon Settles is kicking himself for this one because he played it so well until right at the end there. He let him get right behind him, was looking at Birch the whole time, but a nice catch from the Gators. And a touchdown for Gateway, and again, exactly what you needed here late in this first half.
Blake Marsh's PAT is up and good. And so a 7 spot on the board for the Gators, who show some signs of offensive life after the defense has made a few stops in this second quarter. It's now 30-7 Vikings as the Gators go right down the field and punch that one in with the 1-yard connection from Birch to Lewis.
I know it seems obvious in the sense that, yeah, they got the points out of it, but this offense just felt like it seemed like they were more in click and in sync with each other for Gateway. They had to go with some interesting plays. They go with the wide receiver screens. They go with a little bit of a trickery to get the first down. They're doing things to keep Central Catholic just kind of on their toes. They're picking apart the defense. Central Catholic was playing very soft defense, very deep throughout this entire drive, and so Birch was finding the guys in the second level. He was finding the guys 20 yards down the field, 15 yards down the field for the catches. So really good job there, I think, from Gateway. Overall was to get that touchdown. And it just seems like that's what you need right now if you're the Gators. You're taking what Central Catholic is giving you. And now you need a stop here, though, for the Gators. Big defensive stop here because you can't let Central Catholic run down the field just like they have earlier on in this first half.
Still plenty of time, 3 minutes, 9 seconds, and a Central Catholic team that still has all 3 of its timeouts. The Gators have used all of theirs and will not be able to stop the clock again ahead of halftime. Scores from out of town. We have our first score of the night in another important Northeast Conference match. Talked about Pine Richland, the Rams up 14-0 on North Hills in a game that North Hills desperately needs, along with a lot of help to get in. A win and you're in game for the Rams, who are taking care of business early in that one. Penn Trafford, put another one on the board before the half. They're up 14-7 at the break over Franklin Regional, that game in Murraysville. And then Peters Township opening things up a bit, 35-14, pulling away, trying to wrap up that undefeated mark in the Allegheny 6. Moon Tigers up 42-0 now over Baldwin, as it looks like they will be participants in the postseason.
Only 42 points. Good night for the Fighting Highlanders so far. And I say that with full sarcasm. It was a big hit there.
Short kick, trying to catch the Vikings off guard a little bit there. That one, squib kick, a bit of a bounce and bowling over. Nice little return there by number 44, Carmen Petragalia. The big tackle attempt there at TJ Mitchell, who took a little bit more than he gave on that one, but still brings the ball carrier down.
Traglia was feeling that one. He was holding his right arm, going off underneath the UPMC canopy there as well. Hopefully he's all right after that one.
Quick screen pass, and they'll get Gonzalez in a little bit of space, and he's able to drag Mark Knight out toward that first down marker. But Knight able to hang on and limit that to a gain of 8.
These Vikings just run their screens to perfection. I mean, look, they got 4 guys down the field blocking everyone for the Gators.
Play action there. Craig Schultz nearly gets Wayner, who's able to quickly dice upfield. Good game, about a half a dozen there, and that'll move the chains and move the Vikings into Gators territory once again. So fresh set of downs after the quick run there by Wayner. He'll get it out to Vernon. Settles on another screen pass that'll move them to about the 42-yard line. A gain of 6 on first down.
I thought Sean Moorfield here was just going to go straight at him. He recognizes the wide receiver screen, and then he kind of lets him get juked out of his shoes there. If he just goes right at him, he might stop him immediately.
Now a nice run by Elijah Faulkner, who's able to drag a defender forward. Again, that's Mark Knight making the stop, but not before Faulkner gains double-digit yards on the play and gets down toward the 30-yard line. So that'll be a gain of about 10 on that one. That's a fresh set of downs. Faulkner now open in the flats. Wayner, though, going to take off himself, and he's able to make a few men miss. He's off to the races inside the 10 and wisely slides down before contact to give a goal-to-go situation in less than about 65 seconds. The Vikings have flipped this field and gotten themselves in a goal-to-go situation, Spencer.
An elusive Wayner there as he is able to juke Steven Jenkins out of his shoes.
They'll go to Faulkner, and Faulkner going to get loose into the end zone for the second time tonight. He kicked off the scoring, and there he punctuates an emphatic drive in response to the Gators' touchdown. The Vikings take very little time, got the ball back with about 3:09, and now at the 1:47 mark, just a little over a minute later, they're into the end zone on Faulkner's 10-yard touchdown run.
I was about to say that's not what you wanted for Gateway. That took maybe, 90 seconds at most there, less than that. And the Vikings, again, their offense just keeps moving.
Well, the one positive from that is the Gators will get the ball back with some time to work with before the half, trailing by 30.
But it's interesting to see how long it took the Gators to get down the field for their touchdown. And then Central Catholic responds in 80 seconds, 70 seconds it seemed like. So just amazing how the Vikings, they do run a little bit more up-tempo than Gateway, to credit the Vikings, but how well they're able to move the ball down the field, how fast they can move down for Central Catholic.
So, I mean, it's worth noting this is a special Central Catholic team that, other than that one real head-scratcher against a Pine Richland team that is quite good, and they really have taken it to their opponents, even the number 2 team in 6A, North Allegheny. That was a game that there was unbelievable hype, great student sections, a ton of trash talking. It was close early. You blink, and it's 50-22 at the end of that one. And this is a Central Catholic team that a lot of folks believe can be the best team in the state this year and will compete in 6A. We talked about they'll get the loser of Mount Lebanon, Cannon, Mac. What a tough draw that'll be for whichever squad ends up on the wrong side of that contest tonight. So we are ready to resume action here. And another kickoff from Billy Letch. This one will be taken once again by Lewis. Kenny Lewis able to make a few miss. He's up over the 30-yard line, over the 40, up towards midfield, dragging defenders with him. And a good effort there to sort of go along for the ride is Daniel Specka.
And a ride indeed, and it's amazing to see Kenny Lewis. I mean, just how he recognizes it. Look how he goes out to the outside, and then he could easily go out of bounds here at the 40, 45-yard line, but instead, no, he just bull rushes through and gets an extra 10 yards there. As Daniel Specka is a man, unfortunately, not on the mission there. He was caught up in the mission from Kenny Lewis.
I don't know that he was expecting that. That's a good point, Spencer. And the next thing you know, he's face mask to face mask with Lewis, who's giving him the business. And so the Gators, for the second time tonight, off of a great return by Lewis, start with great field position. And now Birch with a big-time run. He's got room. He's getting away from defenders, and he falls down inside the 25-yard line. Over 20 yards on that one as Birch weaving his way to a first down for the Gators.
Birch seeing what Faulkner did in the last drive and is able to kind of replicate that. Just look at what he has, take it himself, and find the open field. Juking away from the defenders, getting some positive yards.
78 seconds left in the first half. They'll hand to Reynolds, who's able to absorb the hit and fall forward, but will only gain about 3 yards there on first down.
Sullivan. Second down.
Gators do have time to work with here. No timeouts. They cannot stop the clock unless they spike it. So under 55 left, ball at the 19, second down, taking their time getting this play in. They certainly don't want to give it back to Central Catholic with any time, but they're going to hand it back to Reynolds on this one again, who's able to spin away down inside the 15. It's a gain of about 4. It'll bring up third and short. Now the Gators, how quickly do they go here as this clock continues to wind? Only about 30 seconds left and not a whole lot of urgency.
No, and you really can't spike either because then it's fourth down and you're only stuck with one play. But right now they might only be stuck with one play now because of how slow they're going.
They'll hand it back to Reynolds, and Reynolds will get first down yardage. That will stop the clock as they move the chains, and so the Gators get a chance to get on the ball quickly and hopefully clock it.
At the 10-yard line.
That's what they'll do. Clock stops with 19.7. Actually, I'm not really sure that it ever started, as the Gators did a good job getting up on that one and clocking it before the clock even really started. Now you've got an official's timeout.
There was a player for Central Catholic who didn't get off the field in time, and I don't know if they are saying that because he wasn't able to switch off. Was Central Catholic able to get that switch off? Are they allowed to switch defenders? Or, I mean, it looked like the Central Catholic player, I don't even think he had his helmet on. I think he had his helmet off over there on the field. So really interesting there, and that's what you can see. The coaches for Gateway were putting their hands out saying there was a guy over there. That should be a penalty.
Well, at the very least, this gives the Gators an opportunity to get the next play in and get ready as soon as things start to get rolling here. I think they might negate that spike, but now they'll start the clock. It'll start running, but the Gators able to get this play in quickly, and a quick slant across the middle off the mark, and Brad Birch putting that one a little high so only Lewis could get to it, but it was still out of his reach.
For Lewis.
Again, just out of the reach of Anthony Specca there, but yeah, like you said, out of the reach of Specca and out of the reach of everyone, because that ball is supposed to go right there where no one except for the wide receiver can get to it.
Second down.
And a quick play there, because you only need to take a couple seconds. That way you can get yourself these extra downs if you need it.
Ball at the 10-yard line, goal-to-go situation. Gators going pass all the way towards the back corner of the end zone. And that one, a timing route that if Lewis can get around and get one more step under him, he probably gets a hand on that one and brings it in for 6. But that one just a bit quick.
A nice route from Lewis, but yeah, just couldn't get there in time for the Gators.
Third down.
So now it'll bring up 3rd and goal. Still 9 seconds left. Gators should have 2 plays left in this half. See if they can score here, what that decision might look like on 4th down. Figure they'll go for it. So they'll fake the jet sweep handoff. Reynolds was open outside, and there, that one off the mark to Dyson Harper. Probably a good drop, Spencer, as if unless Harper gets on his high horse and gets into the end zone in this one, that would be the end of the half, as you look like there are a couple Central Catholic defenders right there.
Yeah, he's not getting out to the sidelines either, and you got to think that, yeah, like you said, Vince, a good thing that ball was behind him, because that would have been the end of the half. Now you got one more play left here with 4th down, and you got to go for it. I mean, again, in a game where points necessarily don't matter right now, you need the point. Getting more points to keep it closer is what's more important than anything else. The offense has been moving, so you do want to try and get yourself 7.
Brad Birch trying to go for passing touchdown number 99. Can he get it here in the back of the end zone on the last play? No. That will end the half as that one is overthrown. The only one in the vicinity that had a play on it was Xavier Thomas, who gets carried out of bounds and is still unable to catch it. So that'll take us to halftime. 37-7 our score as we look at the end of half number 1. And boy, a performance put together by Central Catholic, to say the least. What are your thoughts, Spencer, after 24 minutes of play?
It was, I mean, you pretty much said it. Everything that Central Catholic was doing, they were doing well. They were doing so well. The only slight downfall from the Vikings was penalties. But even then, they cleaned that up in the end of the second quarter. For Gateway, though, I think you've got to feel better than you did at the end of the first quarter. You definitely started to move the ball a lot better on offense. The problem is that defense is just gasping for breath right now, because Central Catholic is moving so well and so quickly that there's nothing that Gateway can do.
And they've done it in both ways, run, pass, and it's been a complete effort. One thing we do know, Gators undefeated. We'll see them in the postseason. Any of those scores stick out to you after one half of play outside of Antamarino Stadium?
Oh, boy. You're putting me on the spot here, Vince.
We got a few here.
Yeah, we got a few. We'll look at what we got here. I mean, right now, the Franklin Regional Penn Trafford one is an interesting one. But, I mean, Peters Township is winning right now. And Woodland Hills, Penn Hills, the Battle of the Hills, that's going to be an interesting battle, because I think one of those teams could really take a good run here in 5A, and that's a battle of just seeing which seed is going to be what and where Gateway will be at.
So we'll parse a lot of that out in the second half, as this one not super close after one half. The Gators find themselves on the wrong side of a 37-7 first half. That one touchdown for the Gators, a 1-yard pass connection between Brad Birch and Kenny Lewis. So now Birch at 98 on the season and still looking to move himself up those ranks within the WPIAL. We'll step aside for a little bit here for halftime, but we'll return momentarily with some of those playoff scenarios, a recap of our first half and the second half between the Vikings and the Gators here on GatewayGatorProductions.com. getting ready for half number 2 here at Antimarino Stadium. Gators looking to try and claw back into this one after falling behind early, behind a balanced Central Catholic offensive attack. Vince Russo, Spencer Witt here on the call with you here on Gateway Gator Productions as halftime is done into the third quarter. And that much closer to having a little bit clearer of a playoff picture, Spencer.
Yeah, a lot more action taking place outside of this game. Of course, we talked about it before, how this is one of, I think, 6 matchups in all of WPIAL. They're not in conference, and it's just kind of how the scheduling works in that sense. And it's always interesting to see with such a tight sections of each conference and how one game can change. 1 week can decide whether you make the playoffs, you don't make the playoffs, you're a 3 seed, you're a 4 seed. It's all a matter of what it could be, and it'll be interesting to see. We talked about it before, where Central Catholic, who they'll be playing, and who Gateway will be playing, and what seed they'll be.
On the other side, it's looking more and more likely that Central Catholic, who has the ball in their hands now with Xavier Thomas, who fumbles it, that ball loose. Gators are claiming that they have it.
On the return.
S.J. Moorfield motioning rapidly. Dyson Harper believes it will be Gators football, I believe. Yep, they are motioning that way, and the Gators with a big turnover, jarring that ball loose from Xavier Thomas. It'll be Gators ball.
Vince, he fumbled that exactly when you said the ball is in their hands. I just want you to let you know that. That was an incredible, incredible coincidence right there. Yeah, good. Exactly what you needed if you're the Gators right here, because you're going to be stopped in the first half. And even when I was talking to people downstairs and some type of people there, they were saying, "Oh, Central Catholic gets the ball in the second half." Like that could be how huge that is for the Vikings. And right now, Gateway with good field position.
They'll trot that talented offense that had a rough go of it in the first half. Birch did throw touchdown pass number 98 to Kenny Lewis on a short throw to the back of the end zone. They'll take a shot here on first down. They got an open receiver, and it's Lewis again, able to juke a man out of his shoes, but and the defensive player able to come back into the fray there. Colson Gatton, who's been in a number of tackles defensively, able to stick with Lewis there even after getting juked out a little bit.
This is really what Gateway did well in the first half when it comes to going down the field. They were able to pick apart the defense, get in between the different levels of those defensive backs and linebackers, and find the open space. You need to keep doing that if you're the Gators, as you're in the red zone here, and you need points here in this red zone.
Jaquan Reynolds runs into a brick wall. There was a hole for a half a second, and then it evaporated quickly. Take another look. Not a lot happening there as he runs into the big fella down along that defensive line. Quincy Dennis at 6 foot, 270 pounds.
There's nothing going there, but we talked about before how Central Catholic was going run, pass, and they were doing both of those. And if you're Gateway, you're trying to open up that running a little bit for Reynolds to try and give Birch some more time in the backfield. He's been pressured a lot in the end of that first half compared to the beginning, where he was having a lot better protection. And once the Central Catholic players, once they have to respect the run, play a better pass, but not a good pass there.
That one thrown into a whole host of white jerseys, and one of them comes down with it. That's going to be Maceo King Watkins Jr., the 6'2 sophomore, goes up and high points that ball.
And I know what Bradley Birch saw. He saw number 3, Stephen Jenkins, get past that line and have a couple DBs were all the way in the end zone. The problem was, number 1, Jenkins never looked at the ball. He never expected it. And number 2, that ball was just way overthrown, so just a tough situation there for the Gators, and really not what you wanted to see if you're Gateway.
So Central Catholic will take over deep in their own territory, ball at the 3-yard line. Then they'll hand it to Elijah Faulkner on the first one, and he is going to give some real breathing room to the Vikings as he takes this one up over the 15-yard to about the 16. Call that a gain of 13 on first down.
Stop by Knight, Moorfield.
And Faulkner just picking up where he left off, moving the ball forward for the Vikings, excuse me.
Faulkner with just over 1,000 yards on the season, and now they'll take the top off of the defense. That's Vernon Settles to the 30, 20, 10, and he is gone. That is the second long touchdown pass and the second drive of 2 plays or less tonight, as that one is an 83-yard touchdown connection from Wayner to Settles.
Settles just getting behind the defense in one-on-one coverage, really, it seemed like, in beating his man for Central Catholic. Just, again, I cannot stress this enough. It seemed like Gateway was playing a little bit better, deep balls, and not letting Central Catholic get behind them, but you can't let Settles get behind you like that because Wayner has such a good deep ball as well, such a good passer. And he's able to put that one on the money, and it's an easy touchdown for the Vikings.
PAT is up and good from Billy Letch. He's been perfect tonight, and that one will push us into the modified timekeeping as it is 44-7 Central Catholic after the 83-yard touchdown catch and pass you see there on your screen.
Again, just not what Gateway wanted, especially coming out of that half where you recover the fumble, you're in the red zone, an errant throw is the turnover, and you think, okay, you still got them pinned deep in their side of the field. Maybe you get a 3 and out and you get the ball back and no harm, no foul, but second play on that drive, I believe, is what caused the touchdown there, and just frustrating for Gateway because you feel like you're just chasing these Central Catholic Vikings. I mean, literally chasing them, but also just chasing them in general.
So hard to see on that last shot of the whole field, but if you look at the left side of the Central Catholic bench in a yellow parka coat, DeMar Hamlin in the house. Central Catholic graduate, certainly an inspirational story after his cardiac episode on the field last season against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. He was administered care on the field and has made a miraculous and spirited comeback to be able to play once again for the Buffalo Bills. And so they played Thursday night, won against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so DeMar Hamlin in the house down there just past the folks with the chains. He's stationed about like that 15, 20-yard line on the far side of the field. So cool to see him back in town supporting his alma mater, the Central Catholic and University of Pittsburgh graduate, now with the Buffalo Bills.
Wearing that bright yellow jacket. You can see him all the way over here from our vantage point and really sticking out, wearing those yellow colors for the Vikings. It's good to see him in the Pittsburgh area, and of course after everything that's gone over in the last year for him, it's good to see him just being able to continue football activities, whether it's playing for the Bills or just being around the football field. It's good to see for him, and just the outpouring of support here, especially in the Pittsburgh area as well, after what had happened last year was phenomenal. I mean, I know his foundation had an outpouring of donations to him as well, in the McKees Rocks area, which is good to see as well. So Pittsburghers definitely love him, and definitely glad to see him supporting a local Pittsburgh team again.
Short kick here taken by Donovan Biggs, who was able to run it forward for a few, but not before he is absolutely walloped by a pair of defenders there. Mutwali Stewart and Roman Thompson both laying the lumber. And it looks like the former Stewart a little slow to get up, as he did lay the lumber, but at a price, and hopefully he is okay. The training staff will take a second to tend to him. While we do that, we'll talk a little bit about sort of where things stand, what you can expect as a supporter of the Gators. Luckily, next week we'll wash the taste out of our mouths from this contest and have playoff football here on Gateway Gator Productions here at Antamarino Stadium. And so what we do know in the Big East, Gators 5-0, they're clinched. They are in, no question about it. They'll be the top seed out of the Big East Conference. We talked about Crosstown and Murraysville right now. Penn Trafford up 14-7 in a game that is a win and you're in contest. And so that would put the Warriors into the postseason and would put Franklin Regional in pretty perilous territory. If Franklin Regional comes back and wins that game, there's a domino effect that could happen that could get Penn Trafford into the postseason. That would require a Penn Hills win and a Pine Richland win Pine Richland up 14-0 last we saw over North Hills. Penn Hills and Woodland Hills tied at 14. That game highly contested, so if the Panthers are able to come back and win that, there's still, because of a head-to-head win, Penn Trafford over Woodland Hills. That would give the Warriors likely the 8th seed in a first-round matchup with Peters Township. Last year, Penn Trafford taking on Pine Richland. That 8-1 matchup is there. Another costly drop as Kenny Lewis sees another one go through his hands. And
Second down.
Spencer, even when the opportunities have been there, the receivers candidly have let Brad Birch down a few times tonight.
Yeah, great route there. Just a little angled route there into the middle where no one is for Central Catholic, and not able to haul that in. That's just the frustrating signs of a team that is struggling right now in this one compared to the Vikings who have 44 on them.
So that brings up 2nd and 10. Another crack at it here and another drop. That one a little far, but Reynolds still got a hand on that one and had an opportunity to corral it and simply could not.
And you take a look, this is the first play here with that drop there, and then you saw the drop for Reynolds. And yeah, I think to be fair to Reynolds, I believe that one was definitely not as catchable as the other one for the for the Gators, excuse me.
So that'll bring down 3rd and 10, and again across the field. And again, that one hits the chest of Lewis, who is frustrated and showing it visibly and audibly on the field. Spencer, another one he probably could have, should have came down with.
Yeah, I don't know who gave Kenny Lewis a butterfinger at halftime, but just another drop for him, frustrating, and he is clearly visibly frustrated. And I think, to be honest, I think you got to take him off the field for a couple plays here just to kind of calm him down again as well and get him back into this, although 4th down, they're just going to pooch punt it anyway.
That pooch punt almost got blocked, and then no return there, obviously. I see you gesturing, Spencer, adroitly and well-informed. That is, can't go down with the ball and get back up. High school and college, that's a no-no. It's not like the NFL where you can grab it on the ground and get back up. So
he actually slipped. It looked like he slipped trying to get to that ball. It bounced into his chest. The return man there for the Vikings. Just one of those nights for Central Catholic where everything's going right, and even when it's not going right, it still goes right.
And now you'll see what appears to be some wholesale changes. Both squads are going to bring in some of the reserves. And here, look at this, a nice carry by the reserve running back. And that's Roman Thompson, who we saw make the tackle on special teams earlier in this half. And there he takes the handoff, goes forward for double-digit yards and a 1st down.
Told you, when the first team isn't available, the second team just steps up for Central Catholic and picks up where they left off. Good tackle by T.J. Mitchell to hold him down, and that would have been a touchdown-saving tackle there if Mitchell doesn't pull him down by the shoestrings. Again, Central Catholic has already crossed midfield in one play. Just amazing to see how well this offense performs here.
They'll go back to Thompson. And Thompson again going to gash the Gators for about a dozen. That'll be another 1st down. Move the chains once again.
Really good blocking again for Central Catholic. Just open field on the right side for Thompson. Thompson's able to get a 1st down, and clock continues to tick, and the Vikings continue to move down the field.
Penn Hills has come back from an early deficit to take a 20-14 lead in the second half of that Northeast Conference game. That would put Woodland Hills into perilous territory. On the other end, that would give Penn Hills an undefeated conference championship in the Northeast Conference, as that one fumbled but recovered by Central Catholic. Or no, the Gators will have it. And so the Gators force their 2nd turnover of the half, and now we'll see what the second team offense can do. Jackson Smith, Sid Bryant, who's going to come out at quarterback. We've seen both of them play in reserve thus far this season. Sid Bryant played 2 games in reserve, racked up about 200 yards. Jackson Smith has a rushing touchdown in reserve work. That one, I believe, came late against Hempfield. So it'll be Sid Bryant in the gun.
Now Sidro Bryant at quarterback for the Gators.
Bryant is 6'2", 200-pound junior, and this first snap goes over his head, and T.J. Mitchell will have to run backwards to cover that one up, but not after
Mitchell
a long loss on the play.
recovers the fumble.
Obviously
It'll be
getting the
second down
second
and
team in
long.
on both these sides. A little rusty on both teams. Need to knock the cobwebs off of their sides and just trying to get things going here in the second half. And some miscues that need to be cleaned up, but again, that's what the second team is out there for in this one, just trying to work things out as they continue the rest of this half.
They'll hand it back to Mitchell. Mitchell with a big hole. Mitchell able to get back to that original line to gain, and gained another yard after. So on 2nd and 24, a nice gain there of about 15 yards for T.J. Mitchell.
A very respectable gain there for Mitchell, who almost didn't hold on to that ball on the initial handoff, but bouncing off one tackler, just staying on his feet and moving forward, keeping the feet moving.
Mitchell and Terrence Cole have both gotten carries, along with Ahmad Harris on that second unit. And all three have had some real flashes. Terrence Cole with a 60-plus yard touchdown early in the season. Mitchell with a few nice carries, including that last one. They'll fake it here. Now Sid Bryant going to let this one go. That's a completion, and that's right around first down yardage. But a flag comes in the backfield, and Spencer, more often than not, that one goes against the offense.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this one here, but thought maybe it might be on Central Catholic. I think it is roughing the passer. Yeah, it is going to be roughing the passer. I saw a player for the Vikings get a hand in the face of Bryant, the quarterback there, and I think he might have clipped his face mask, and that's going to be hands to the face.
Good eyes and a good call there, Spencer, as you'll see there. Those hands come in right as Sid's still able to let that ball go and get close to first down yardage, which obviously won't matter because the chains will move with that 15-yard penalty at the end of that play. So that's a monster gain for the Gators, who flipped the field all the way to the Central Catholic 40.
Again, I know it's nitpicking, but that's the only issue that Central Catholic has had in this game is their penalties.
Gators fumble for the second time this possession and recover it for the second time this possession. And for the second time this possession, it's T.J. Mitchell who finds himself walloped in the backfield, though he's able to get back to that ball before Central Catholic can corral it.
If it means anything for Mitchell, that play really didn't seem like it was going anywhere. There were a couple of Vikings already in the backfield as he was trying to get that handoff. Might have been able to cup to the left, but nonetheless, it's 2nd and 15.
Sid Bryant looked like he was going to pass on it. 2nd and 15, hesitates, now tries to run forward, and he's just going to get back toward the line of scrimmage. He might have even lost the better part of a yard, and so it'll be 3rd and long upcoming.
And it seems like, I don't know if that was designed, it looks like Bryant just looked at one place and he saw the defenders, the guys on the outside crashing in, so he immediately just decided to take off, and nowhere to go, though, on that one. Didn't have any open space in front of him. Felt the pressure from the side, so he steps up, but there's nowhere to go.
So 3rd and long for Sid Bryant and the Gators. Play action. He'll step up and tripped up in the pocket. That'll be a sack. They'll lose a few more yards, and that'll just give a little bit more room, likely, for the punt team. Although they're going to keep the offense out here at least momentarily. See if Sid Bryant tries the pooch punt, or if they just decide, heck with it, with the second team in a game that's well in hand, to just try and give this one a heave-ho on 4th and a country mile. Four receivers set, 2 on each side. Mitchell, the sidecar to the left. They'll play action pass once again. Sid Bryant gets this ball downfield, and that one is caught. Not nearly enough for the first down, but a nice pitch and catch there, and a really nice effort to hang on to that one by Julian Dankier.
I don't know how he got that to Dankier. There were 2 guys right over there, and right out of the reach of a linebacker there for the Vikings as well, but it's going to be a first down for Central Catholic on the turnover on downs.
First down.
So just a little short there for the Gators, who will as you said, Spencer, turn that one over on downs.
It is a first down, but unfortunately for Central Catholic, if you're a Gateway Gators fan.
So it'll be number 15 behind center, Jair Walls, the 6'1 junior, but he'll hand off once again to Thompson, Roman Thompson, the 6'1 sophomore, who's still on his feet, actually the freshman and the 9th grader. On his way, on his high horse, and into the end zone for a 61-yard touchdown. Roman Thompson goes the distance.
This kid's got legs. I mean, just watch how he gets off of one defender, then he bounces it to the outside, and look how many guys he's going to break tackles from. Poor tackling for Gateway here. Gets around the edge there for one, but you see one stiff arm there. Another one, he just pushes off of the other guy and takes it the distance. Tough play for Gateway, but credit where credit is due for Roman Thompson. Just kept the legs moving and did not look back.
Kick up and good. That'll be backup kicker as well. Freshman Antonio DeFada, the 5'6", 135-pound freshman kicker, splits the uprights. So the first one to give boot to ball. That's not Billy Lech for Central Catholic, and that'll make it 51-7. It's been all Vikings tonight.
I noticed you mentioned, 5'6", 135, but one thing I want to talk about real quick while we've got some time here with the quarterback for the Central Catholic Vikings, Peyton Wayner, only listed at 6 foot, 180 pounds, which I think is a little bit of a generous height there for 6'1", but he plays so well for what he doesn't have the height compared to a lot of even high school. You'll see a lot of high school quarterbacks, 6'2", 6'1", especially, and he looked more around the lines of 6 foot, but he plays so well in the pocket, being able to find the open receivers. And I know we talked about it before, only one offer for, I believe, St. Francis in Division I football, and just the fact that the Red Flash, I think they got a good quarterback out of Wayner if he's committed to the Red Flash for football. I mean, he looked so good against this Gators defense that has been solid. Sometimes they've had some of their issues overall this season, but they have been pretty well here so far at the remainder of the second half of the season. But again, credit where credit's due. Undersized according to a lot of teams, but Wayner doesn't let that one stop him.
What a special season he's had. Over 2,200 yards, over 30 touchdowns. Threw a few tonight. 5 touchdowns on the ground. 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing. So solid evening from him and his supporting cast. And certainly a Vikings team that has their eyes set on not only getting crowned WPIAL champions, but PIAA as well.
Zapata is kicking off.
Gators have similar aspirations. Tonight hasn't been their night. Kicker falls, slaps the turf, but still got a decent kick off. And now it's S.J. Moorfield. And Moorfield able to get away from a few would-be tacklers up over the 30, close to the 35. It'll be marked down at the 33-yard line.
Yeah, you see Moorfield pick this one up here.
84.
Off the bounce. Scans his options, and then he cuts it out to the outside. And tell you what, good tackle there from 34 for the Vikings, Yasarius Maley. If Maley doesn't tackle him, he might have been gone. Bacon might have been able to break that to the outside with only the kicker to beat.
So the Gators offense back out onto the field. We have a few finals tonight. The second team from the Big East has clinched, and it will be the Penn Trafford Warriors. 27-14, the final in Murraysville. They go on the road and beat the Panthers to clinch a playoff berth. As this is Terrence Cole, who has a ton of speed, but he loses his footing on his way toward the sticks. It'll still be a nice gain of 8 on the play, but nothing more.
Don't know if this field got a little more slippier, to put it in a Pittsburgh term, but a lot of guys falling here on the field in this second half.
Certainly a noticeable difference later in this one. Rained a good bit before the game, but not much since. Now Cole able to turn on those Jets. He's shown that speed throughout the year as both a return man and a reserve running back, and he's able to get a big gain there to flip the field and move the chains.
Nice run there. Nice block. 52, Jake Pawlowski, who took 2 guys with him and was able to let the running back there, Cole, bounce to the outside and get those yards.
Give it to Cole again. That time, nothing going. He'll be swallowed up in the backfield.
Cole again.
So the other finals from the night, Moon cakewalks to a 42-16 win, and that'll give us a chance to talk a little bit about the playoff picture in the Allegheny 6 Conference, of which I think holds some significance to the Gators and who they'll likely play in the first round here at Antamarino Stadium. Peters Township well on their way up 28 on Bethel Park to winning their conference at 5-0. They will likely be the 1 seed as Sid Bryant has a man open going downfield. Couldn't get that one, but it'll be a pass interference flag as that one thrown in the vicinity of Tristan Houston. It looks like that one is going to be called on the recent touchdown scorer, Roman Thompson, in on coverage there.
I don't know if I agree with that call. I mean, Thompson, to the credit of the referees, what happened is that he didn't look back. He just let that ball go up, put a hand up in the air to kind of defend, but he never really looked back at it. As another look at it here, and you'll see on the right of your screen. Really good ball, though, to be fair, from the quarterback for Gateway.
Sid Bryant had some real nice throws in the 2 games that he played. There were a few that were called back against Woodland Hills due to ineligible men downfield on the line, but Bryant certainly had his flashes in the moments that he played. So they'll give this one to Cole once again, who makes a couple miss and steps out of bounds right inside of that 30-yard line. Clock will continue to run as we've entered into the modified timekeeping as we talked about. And to cap that conversation off the Allegheny 6, we know Peters Township will be first as we head toward the start of the 4th quarter. Wrap up the 3rd here with that running clock. The Gators driving against Central Catholic. So we got Peters Township. They'll likely be the 1 seed. They finished the regular season as the only undefeated team in 5A, one of the few in the WPIAL overall. After that, you get a scenario where Bethel Park drops to 3-1 or 3-2. Moon rises to 3-2, and if all hold serve in South Fayette, Upper St. Clair up a couple scores in that one, that would create a 3-way tie for second place. 3-2 teams. From there, you use tiebreaker points, which if the scores hold serve the way they are, the Moon Tigers would leapfrog Bethel Park due to those tiebreaker points. That would give them second place, and then from there, third place would be determined by a head-to-head competition, and then from there, Upper St. Clair would be eliminated as Bethel Park defeated the Panthers earlier this season, who the Panthers, it took them a double overtime performance to beat the Moon Tigers last week to stay in the conversation, but they very likely will end up being an 8-2 team that does not make the postseason. And a lot of people in 5A have talked about just 8 teams make it, which is the fewest of any classification, not including 6A, which only has 5 teams. But out of other comparable classifications, just 8 of the 18 make it because of the way the state playoffs line up with the way 5A is played. And so a couple years ago, before this reclassification of these last 2 years, there were 12 teams that would make it. And so teams like Franklin Regional, perhaps Woodland Hills, Upper St. Clair, 2 of those 3 teams are not going to be in the postseason who have played very well this year. And there's some folks that have called for an expansion of the playoffs, but then you start to get to 12 teams, and some teams make it in that probably don't deserve to make it in. And so
the problem is in arguing that teams over 500 should make it, that barely over 500. You expand the playoffs, now you get teams under 500 in your conference that don't make it as well. So it really does go both ways, and that game against Bethel Park, 22-10 loss for Upper St. Clair, is going to haunt those players for the rest of this year.
So back here at Antamarino Stadium, just seconds away from starting quarter number 4. Teams will switch sides, so the Gators will be going right to left across your screen instead of left to right. They will have 2nd and 8 with the ball at the 29-yard line. A healthy balance of TJ Mitchell and Terrence Cole this drive, with a little bit of Sid Bryant running and passing as well, as it's the Gators and Vikings second teams in. And if nothing else for the Gators and for the Vikings as well, you leave this game with both teams healthy. No major injuries on either side. And if nothing else, that's really the outcome that you wanted, along with allowing your starters to continue to have some sort of rhythm, even though it didn't go well for the Gators tonight. It did go very well for the Vikings. You have that sort of muscle memory of playing and being a little sore Saturday morning and getting ready and going through your normal routine heading toward the playoffs.
It just seemed like, and we'll talk about this later on, how that Gateway team, when they got into the red zone there at the end of the first half, it just seemed like they panicked a little bit. They just kind of felt the pressure of saying, okay, we have to score. We have to score here to make this game more interesting. We have to score here to get back into it. And they just were not able to capitalize on that. And that was the big downfall. Bryant takes a shot as well, and a flag is going to be thrown.
Pass is complete. Flag on the play.
As it stands, it's a completion that actually loses a yard. There is a flag in the backfield after the quarterback. As you take a look here, sustained a hard hit. Will it be another roughing the quarterback, or will it be a penalty on the offense? We'll see upcoming. Call is holding against the Gators. That will be declined.
4th down.
My apologies to Central Catholic there. I thought the penalty was going to be called on roughing the passer, and I was not very happy about that. I saw the pressure on the outside, but that was a very good play from that edge rusher there for the Vikings, and putting pressure on Bryant and putting pressure on the offensive line for Gateway as well as a hold. Negates that one, like you said.
Screen pass here on 4th and long. That one well behind the original line of scrimmage, and that one's going to lose yardage once again, and we'll turn the ball back over to the Vikings.
And that's the backups again playing. We talked about it here, but look how the screen pass. There are 3 guys that got to the running back there, 21.
1st down.
That's Terrence Cole, and only one guy was blocked, and he was barely blocked. I mean, the offensive linemen are up 5 yards, 10 yards up the field. Who you blocking? You're not blocking anyone up there. You're going over to the sidelines to see DeMar Hamlin over there, it seemed like, instead of picking up a Central Catholic player. Just kind of the miscues there, especially on that 4th down. A turnover.
Carry here for a moderate gain.
Stewart.
That one is going to be Stewart.
Flag on the play.
Wally Stewart, the 5'11 senior running back.
Holding against the Vikings.
Holding call against the Vikings, as you heard from the PA.
Yeah, Jake Murphy is going to be called for the holding there. Number 70 was grabbing one of the Gators there, and what got him was he pulled him down. Him and the defender went down together as one, and when you both go down like that, it's a matter of holding, and he was holding outside of the shoulders. They're going to call holding on that one every time.
Some more score updates from out of town. Final score 34-21. Upper St. Clair does defeat South Fayette. Peters Township continues to lay it on 55-28 over Bethel Park. Is another run play here. Another short gain for Stewart, trying to gain back some of those penalty yards on 1st and 20. Gain about 4 there. And Penn Hills is poked back in front. They got the 6, but could not convert the 2-point conversion. So 26-21 on top of Woodland Hills, and a barn burner out that way. That pass through the hands of the intended receiver, Maximilian Roman, unable to get to that one.
Incomplete. 3rd down.
Nice. Just a bad pass looking for Roman, and just a little bit out of his reach, too. Had to go up and get that one. Couldn't bring those hands together at the same time right when he needed to. And a misfire there from the Vikings.
So if those scores hold, Penn Hills will win the Northeast Conference. There's a pass play here across the middle, nearly intercepted by TJ Mitchell. Good job getting a hand on that one.
4th down.
It looks like Pine Richland up 3 scores on North Hills, looking to close that out. They'll move to 4-1, second in the conference, and then from there, Woodland Hills will be one of those teams that's still mathematically alive for a wild card with the likes of teams like Franklin Regional, who just lost. But starts to make that playoff picture a little clearer. You think Peters is probably one. Consensus is Penn Hills with just the one loss in 5A and then a loss to Central Catholic as well. They would be the 2 seed. Pine Richland probably slots in at 3, and then the Gators at 4. And then from there, you start looking at second-place teams, and the consensus is from a lot of people who have prognosticated, based on what the current outcomes look like, that Gators would likely host the Moon Tigers here at Antamarino Stadium next week. And that is a team that loves to run the football and does so very well, something of which the Gators will need to be ready for, as they've been gashed a few times this season by run-heavy teams, and certainly gave up a decent amount of yards, all in wins. They faced some talented backs, and Kyle Dupill in Franklin Regional, Tasso Whipple in Penn Trafford, and certainly Nick Odom over at Plum. So they've been no stranger to playing some running backs. So obviously Elijah Faulkner has been excellent tonight. So that will be a test for the Gators. But there is more football to look forward to, folks, as we stare down the barrel of the playoffs next week. And Adam Gusky should be back for that one. So we'll resume normal operating procedure. But it's been fun having you along for the ride tonight, Spencer. And
hey, who knows? Maybe you and I will be on the broadcast later this year. You never know. Maybe down the road here for WPIAL playoffs.
We'll see. Certainly would be a fun opportunity if it presents itself, and if the Gators are able to make a deep run. As back to receive this punt will be Tristan Houston for the Gators. He'll have his heels at the Gators' 39-yard line. 8.5 minutes left in this one. We've had some longer pauses. There's a couple different entities broadcasting the game tonight, and so some media TV timeouts have paused things, if you're wondering why it's taken a little longer even with a running clock. That is where we are. So we will know Sunday afternoon who the Gators will be facing. Always an exciting time of year, especially when your team is a part of it, as the Gators have traditionally been for so long. We talked about 24 conference championships, some of the most in this region. Tristan Houston corrals that one just past the 30, has a block, tries to get to the outside, up over the 40, close to the 45. There's a flag back towards where the punt took place.
Houston on the return.
We'll see what that's all about.
Stop by
So I'll stop the clock again.
First down for the Gators.
There's going to be a block in the back. Against Central Catholic, interesting.
Yeah. Not often you see the kicking team commit that sort of infraction, but that will march off 15 additional yards for the Gators, who will take over just past midfield. Good field position for the Gators. Jackson Smith now, the freshman, in at quarterback. We saw Sid Bryant for a little while. Now we will see the freshman.
Penalty against the
Sid Bryant, a
Vikings.
junior. Jackson Smith, as we just said, a freshman. These two will be vying to take over, as the Gators will be next year looking at life without Brad Birch. So will it be Sid Bryant or will it be Smith? Both have had some flashes. There's a flag on the play here. So some consternation from the fans.
Consternation. Can you use that in another sentence? Can you give me the definition of that? That's a first I've never heard consternation. That's a good one. Give me that. Whip out the dictionary for that one.
5 yards against Central.
Don't you dare type that out on dictionary.com.
I'm cheating, I'm Googling. I know. Feelings of anxiety or dismay. Typically it's something unexpected, such as the defensive penalty there. There was certainly some dismay that you audibly heard from down below.
Good crowd here on hand, by the way, for both teams. Central Catholic has traveled pretty well here as well, and Central Catholic team that has to travel a lot, it seems like. They play in a couple different places on the road as well here in the final game of the year for them. Of course, Central Catholic not necessarily aligned to a specific region that you live in, so you also have to travel based on where you live as well if you're a parent or a fan.
Smith, the keeper here, he'll fall forward. Whistle comes in after about a gain of 1.5 yards toward about that 40-yard line. Maybe just a hair past.
Stopped by Jamison and McCurrack.
So that'll bring up 3rd and manageable here for the Gators. Clock continues to wind.
Down.
7 minutes left here in the 4th. Mitchell, the sidecar running back, 3 receivers set. They'll hand it to Mitchell. Mitchell, a nice hole. He's able to make that work. That'll be a nice gain there. Takes it down to about the 33-yard lines. That'll be gain of 7 on 3rd and 4. That'll be more than enough for the first down, and that'll keep this Gators offense on the field. Casey Carter laying the block there to open things up for Mitchell. Not much going there. Carter, the freshman, 6 foot, 197 pounds, playing the tight end position, was sort of in a sidecar position there as well. Different formation for the Gators. So what a regular season it has been for the Gateway Gators. I don't know if I've ever seen a team go 5-0 in conference, 0-5 out of conference. This team started 0-3, won 5 of 6 down the stretch, including 4 in a row. And all that in told as Jackson Smith rips off a nice run for first down yardage. Flag coming in at the end. Gators will likely host a playoff game this time next week. You take another look at the end of that one. Perhaps
horse collar tackle? I thought maybe was, or something along the lines of that. Didn't see anything.
Maybe even finishing that tackle and dumping Smith out of bounds. I thought that was more of just a continuation of the play, but they might have thought that was a little too much.
A face mask.
Face mask penalty against
I didn't know if it was
Vikings.
down the field. It didn't say who it was. We'll take another look at it here and just see if the initial tackle is a face mask.
Oh,
maybe he did at 81 in the left hand there, yeah. Ashraf Badru for the Vikings.
So a couple personal foul penalties, one on special teams, one here defensively has gift wrapped a few yards for the Gators.
Stopped by
As they look to try and put some points on the board here for the first time since the second quarter, when Brad Birch found Kenny Lewis in the back of the end zone for the 1-yard touchdown. Otherwise, it's been all Vikings tonight. Just a few plays into this one, Elijah Faulkner raced 67 yards to pay dirt. They went for 2 points. That one was no good. Smith again on the carry. Not much going there.
Smith on the keeper.
Then just moments later, quick drive at a 10-yard touchdown pass. His first of the night. Peyton Wayner found Nick Gonzalez, his steady target in the back of the end zone. PAT made it 13-0. 32-yard field goal followed up, and it was 16-0. Billy Letch. Then Wayner finds Settles for a quick 5-yard score. Made it 23-0. 5-yard run by Wayner. All the kind of blinked, and this game really was over at 30-0 before that Birch touchdown pass cut into that lead ever so slightly. Smith looked like he was going to pass. Now he's going to call his own number, puts the head down, gets inside the 10-yard line, but going to be short of the line to gain, which is about the 2-yard line, so it's going to bring up 4th and long.
And you see Smith rolling out, trying to see if anything's open, any wide receiver can break off and get away from a defensive back, but Central Catholic was all over it, so he decides to take it himself and get as many yards as possible.
So in our last 3 scores of the night, a Second touchdown run by Faulkner of 10 yards. The 83-yard touchdown pass from Wayner to Settles. Their second connection of the night. Wayner finished with 3 passing touchdowns. 1 rushing as well. Smith has to back up. Now he's just going to give this a heave-ho to the end zone. Had a receiver as the DB fell, but that was sort of a heave-ho on the run to try and just get rid of that one. And then finally, quickly, the 61-yard touchdown run by Roman Thompson in this fourth quarter made it 51-7.
And just one of those kind of nights for the Gators in terms of the offense. Get the ball moving down the field here. You get some miscues from Central Catholic, some extracurriculars from them, and the problem is you don't have a ride home after that one. And it was a bad play there on fourth down, but again, something you're learning as a freshman quarterback. Jackson Smith, just a situation where he played it right. I mean, the snap was over him, and he knew he just had to throw the ball down the field and hope for the best.
Stewart over the middle.
So that turns it over on downs, and the Vikings
34.
start this drive inside their own 10-yard line, but a nice run there
2.
for about 8 yards. That time, once again, by Mudwali Stewart, the 5'11 senior, getting some carries late in this one and late in his career. It was senior night for the Gators tonight. They honored their seniors, and a number of talented seniors on this roster for the Gators overall. Certainly Brad Birch, Stephen Jenkins, Jaquan Reynolds. That one sails past everyone.
Pass is incomplete. As a reminder, we ask
Harris.
that non-players remain off the field at all times, including the conclusion of the game.
Remy Bowes, who unfortunately sustained that season-ending injury before the regular season started. Donovan Biggs.
And possible legal action.
About Brad Birch, Jair Phillips, Cameron Price. Blake Marsh, the talented place kicker. William Jordan.
Blake Marsh plays like 5 sports here as well. It's
That's
amazing.
what we heard during
that's
halftime.
Soccer. I know I've called him on the soccer side of things, and football, hockey,
Tennis as well.
Tennis in the spring,
Yeah, hockey. Jacob Santo. Ramen Payne. Noodles, as they call him. Jake
Stewart on the carry.
Pulowski. I believe that's everyone as we glance up and down.
Pulowski playing
Cameron Price.
volleyball as well. We'll see him in the spring. A lot of talented players on this Gateway team. And, of course, as taking a knee, final plays here for Central Catholic. They still, we'll talk about it here in the postgame real quick, but you can't just let this one dictate who you are as a team this whole year. You gotta realize that this is Central Catholic you're playing. This is probably one of the best teams in the state. I mean, you can make a good argument for it, regardless of what level they are and how well they play.
Well, let's call it what it is. It's a Week 9 exhibition matchup. A game where you wanted to get in, get some reps, get out without being hurt. The result really is secondary after that, though you do want to win. You always play to win the game, as Herm Edwards has so eloquently said in the past. But you're healthy and you're headed toward the postseason as this one comes to an end. 51-7 our final score. The Gators' lone points come off of a Brad Birch touchdown pass to Kenny Lewis for 1 yard, his 98th of his career. He'll have a chance to hit that century mark in a do-or-die contest next week. And Spencer, we talked about a game not of super consequence, but they get through unscathed. And tell us a little bit more about that. Tell us about shaking the mindset of this one after taking your lumps against a talented opponent and getting up for that playoff game next week.
Well, I think all year it's just kind of one of those mental things where you play your section, you play them well, you win, you go 5-0, and you go 0-5 in non-conference. You take on, especially at the end of the year, McKeesport's a tough team that you took on in that one. You fell to Mount Lebanon, I believe. Is that correct as well? And you fall to the Central Catholic team, Woodland Hills as well in that one. So you got to think to yourself, are we good or is our section bad? And the problem is that you can't think like that, because if you think like that, you're already out of this playoff game. You have to think that you are playing, you are a 5-0 team, you are hosting this section or you're hosting this playoff match because you're a good enough team, and you have to look at that, and you have to shake off this game in general. You get in the reps, you get in kind of what you feel as to what you want to do on the field, but regardless, the score meant nothing.
Absolutely, and this is a Gators team that has shown resiliency.
Yeah.
0-3 to start the season. You were without Brad Birch for a couple games. They do win 5 of 6 down the stretch. I know you weren't here for the McKeesport game, but the Gators had ample opportunities to win that game. A couple turnovers in the red zone, threatening to go ahead in that game. So this is a team that has shown swagger throughout the year, has shown bounce back throughout the year, and they should end up with a home playoff game, which has had mixed results over the past 2 years, but hey, it can't hurt not having to go on the road.
You never know what can happen in Nancy Marina Stadium. That's the best part about WPIAL football.
And we will have more of it next week. For our entire crew signing off, I want to thank everyone who put such effort into today, especially braving the elements. We had some rain before the broadcast, and so our crew scrambled to make sure everything was good and was weatherproof. Luckily, the weather held out for us as we got closer to kickoff. But for everyone involved and for everyone at Gateway who makes this possible, we wrap the regular season with an immense amount of gratitude, not least of which because we'll have playoff football next week. And Spencer, great to have you along with us tonight. Thanks for being with us. I'm Vince Russo. We'll sign off for tonight, but make sure to tune in next Friday night. Opponent TBD. We've got a good idea of who it might be, but the Gators will be in the postseason with an opportunity to advance to the 5A semifinals. You can catch it all here on GatewayGatorProductions.com. Good night, everyone.